Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is brought to you by our friends at Fangoria Magazine. That's right, the first name in Fright since 1979 is now an affiliate of America's Hometown Horror. And because of that, we can now offer you an exclusive 20% discount on any first-time magazine subscription or merchandise purchase by heading over to shop.fangoria.com and using the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout. That's shop.fangoria.com/HometownHorrorPod, or just use the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout for that exclusive discount on anything from Fangoria. Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is also brought to you by our friends at Horror Facts Magazine. Never heard of Horror Facts Magazine? Well, if you're a horror fan, they're a name that you absolutely should know. You can find them over at horrorfacts.com, and they're a great resource for all things horror, including news, reviews, editorials, and lots of other horror podcasts, not only limited to, but including America's Hometown Horror. So head on over to horrorfacts.com and check them out. Last but certainly not least, if you want to support America's Hometown Horror directly, I would highly recommend you get yourself some tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which will be taking place at Mayflower Brewing Company in lovely Plymouth, Massachusetts for the first time on October 28th of this year. Yes, that's right, folks, the Saturday before Halloween. We're partnering with our friends over at Inebriart to put this event on, and you can buy yourself some tickets by going to inebriart.com, go to their events page, pull up their October calendar, and get yourself some $5 tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which is now sponsored by HalloweenNewEngland.com. HalloweenNewEngland.com is the website for the truly Halloween-obsessed, with the most extensive guides to New England haunted houses, ghost tours, classic horror film screenings, jack-o'-lantern festivals, haunted hayrides, and more. They've got all the thrills covered throughout September and October. With over 2,500 Halloween events on their events calendar and hundreds of local Halloween attractions, it's the only place you'll find everything from haunted history tours and costume contests to witch haunts are open on a Thursday night. No matter what you're looking for this Halloween season, HalloweenNewEngland.com has you covered, and we are thrilled to be partnering with them. Now, let's get on with the show. All right, hello, good evening, and welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. I'll be your host. And if you're noticing how good we sound over the last couple of weeks with our new music, our new ad reads, and everything else, that is strictly because of our friend Sean over at Skywheel Media, who is now producing all of the audio and music for our show. And a reminder, as always, that if you have a podcast that you're looking to take to the next level in terms of sound, get in touch with us, and we can put you in touch with Shauno at Skywheel Media, who will have a website up and running soon. Anyway, here's where you can find us online if you're interested in that sort of thing. First place is our website, which is ahpod.com. It's ahhpod.com. Head over there for our blog and more about the show. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck they're calling it these days. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. We're on there. You'll find us. You can also email us at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com if you want to give us some feedback about the show. And if also you want to help the show grow, please make sure you subscribe, rate, review, 5 stars preferable, and let us know what you think of the show. And as always, I am joined by the full crew tonight. Andrew, Kat, Matt, lady, gentlemen, good evening.
The esteemed co-hosts?
Esteemed co-hosts, yes.
Greetings.
Yes, greetings. Greetings and salutations.
I say this to one of my coworkers over the day. I go to him, I'm like, greetings. And he's like, greetings. It's kind of funny.
There you go.
Nice.
It's Monday, huh?
Greetings.
Take me to your leader. Nice. What's up, guys? How's everybody been?
We're doing
Good.
well.
Yeah. Summer rolls on. We in August now. I think this is our first episode in August. I think it might be. I don't know.
It's the first Monday episode in a
recording a little bit early this week.
Monday.
We had some other commitments later. Yeah. Getting the weekend out of the way and keeping the weekend rolling here with a couple bevies and talking some horror with y'all. So thanks for checking back in with us. Guys, this week we're getting The Last Voyage of the Demeter theaters, which is a movie that I really, really want to see.
Yeah.
And I really hope that time permits for me to be able to go see it.
So many movies in theaters I just am not going to see.
I know.
That I want to.
I know. It sucks. I mean, hey, when you have a kid, it,
life rolls on, baby.
Yeah, really lightens your schedule, or not lightens, makes your schedule not light. That's what I'm trying to say.
Unlightens.
Yeah, unlightens your schedule. That's for sure.
Luckily, they all go to VOD in 3 weeks. Anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
God.
I'm excited for this one. I really think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look sick.
And I'm all about Dracula stuff, so I'm excited for that one. And then, what was the one that just is making a ton of money at the box office
Take
right
Me.
now? Talk to
Talk
Me.
to me, yeah.
Talk to Me is making a lot of money at the box office, but that was not the one I was thinking of. There was something else that was released recently, I believe, if I can only remember. But it'll
In
come to
theaters?
me. In theaters, yeah. What came in
Yeah, it
theaters?
does.
Was it Oppenheimer?
No, not Oppenheimer, not Barbie. There was something else. Oh, Meg 2, The Trench. That's what I was thinking of.
That's
That
actually making a lot of
a
money.
lot of money worldwide, doing
Wait,
very well
that sounds-
internationally, and I'm all about big shark movies, but that definitely is not one that I'm going to be seeing in theaters. I'll watch the shit out of that when it comes home on demand, but I think before that, probably we'll be checking out on Meg 2, The Trench, or The Meg 2, The Trench, which, yeah, they called it The Meg.
The Meg, the Trench.
The Meg, The Trench, the movie. So,
Whatevs.
yeah, and in not so good news, the horror world lost a huge figure today, or at least a figure that directed probably one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, in William Friedkin, who died today at the age of 87. So lived himself a very long life. Obviously, The Exorcist is a movie that we all hold in very high regard. I think that was one of Matt's first guest appearances on the show.
I did reshare that
Yeah.
episode today on Facebook.
Yeah.
too.
Nice.
Maybe I'll go back and listen to that. I do want to rewatch The Exorcist as well. But
I did
yeah,
get to do that.
William Friedkin obviously directed The Exorcist, directed The French Connection, directed Bug.
To Live and Die in LA.
Yeah, a lot of great movies.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, so he'd been around for a long time, directed movies for a very long time. Not as active in recent years as he had been, obviously, because he's in his 80s. You know, it sucks. You get in under a week, get William Friedkin, Paul Rubens, and the kid from Euphoria. It sucks.
Yeah.
A lot of death in Hollywood over the last week, but I mean,
Always comes in threes, man.
absolutely. Well, and you gotta. I mean, now is probably as good of a time as any to go revisit The Exorcist and see what just a master work that whole movie is. Which you don't need us to tell you. But Matt, I know you rewatched it today. I think
I did.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's not an HBO. Of course, it's not an fucking HBO Max anymore. Or Max.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like just.
I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And I don't have the DVD anymore.
Oh no.
So I was like, I had to rent it on Vudu, which is fine. But either way, I was like,
DVD for that
fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh yeah. So rest in peace to William Friedkin. Again, dead at 87.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Let's see what else we got here. Guys, would you have any interest in a remake of The Bride of Frankenstein going to Netflix, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal?
No.
You guys hear anything about
No, that sounds awful.
That's an interesting.
That sounds terrible.
this? So
What?
Are you doing a
Sounds
bit?
confusing.
no, this is actually it was
Confused
reported
by this.
today on Bloody Disgusting that this is probably happening. And here's what we got for casting news. You have Penelope Cruz going to be playing the Bride of Frankenstein, Christian Bale playing Frankenstein, and Peter Sarsgaard is also cast in an undisclosed role.
Wow, that's
Okay.
surprising.
Okay.
You have me at Christian Bale.
They say,
Penelope Cruz, I hate. She
Yeah.
annoys the fuck out of me.
yeah, after seeing her in Blow, I was
Oh,
like, wow, what a
so
nightmare.
much.
Penelope Cruz.
The Bride of Frankenstein is like pretty renowned as like the best Universal horror movie.
Oh yeah, probably, and also probably one of the greatest, if not one of the greatest horror sequels, yes, but probably one of the greatest sequels ever made too.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I don't know. They've been trying to remake this movie for a long time. There was supposedly one in
Why it
that,
hasn't happened.
right? I mean, there was one in the.
Christian Bale is Frankenstein. That seems weird.
Interesting.
That's
Doesn't say if
Is he
he's
just
playing
thinking of, like-
Frankenstein's monster or if he's
Oh.
playing Victor Frankenstein.
Oh,
that
so,
makes-
that
it
makes way more sense.
so it just says Frankenstein. I don't know if who it's going to
It's
be.
got-
Christian Bale is Frankenstein. You just think of like
The
he was
monster,
Batman,
yeah.
and you're like, oh,
There's-
Just showing up,
Moron.
doing the Batman voice and green
Like
makeup for 2
Frankenstein,
hours.
yeah.
That'd be wild.
like what?
But yeah, they were supposed to remake this movie a while back with like Angelina Jolie playing the bride. That was supposed to be part of that like dark universe imprint that they
That
were
I
trying to
could
do for a
see.
while.
Penelope
Like,
Cruz.
Was
dark
that like what they did with the Mummy?
universe.
With
That was the Tom Cruise Mummy
well,
movie,
Yeah,
and-
I'm sure they saw that happen and they were like, Jesus.
Yeah, well, so
Christ, never
that
mind.
was like one of those things where they like rolled out like everybody and said, "Here's what we're gonna do for movies
Yeah.
before the Mummy comes out," and it's like Tom Cruise playing just some guy that might have become the Wolfman. Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll. Javier Bardem was going to be Frankenstein's monster. Angelina Jolie was going to be the bride, and Johnny Depp was going to be the Invisible Man. And then the Mummy bombed.
They were like, burn it all to the fucking
burn
ground.
the whole
Forget
fucking
it.
thing to
Yeah.
the ground. But
Just
What
make
about the
another
Benicio
Invisible Man?
del Toro Wolfman?
But
Well-
that was not part of it. But that movie's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
And so the Invisible Man
I
movie,
didn't know if that was a
that
Underrated.
but the Lee Winnell Invisible Man movie is also great. But that was not part of that same shared universe. That was just a new thing that
Fucking
Universal was trying to do.
shoot me.
That movie's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, that's
welcome,
dizzying.
welcome to shared universe world, my friend. You still act like you're shocked and
But
surprised.
I get it. There's just so many different ones for the same shit. It's like, can you just fucking someone talk to each other, communicate, be like, let's not be insane and just everybody make their own fucking version of this movie. Let's coordinate. And
Well-
I really want to make money off this.
Well,
no one makes money because
Well,
they
you
all
heard this is actually a thing. Like you can actually Google this. That because of the success of Barbie, they're launching a Mattel
Oh, I know.
cinematic
I've heard
universe.
about that. Jesus.
Ooh,
What are we gonna have, Mr. Miss-
interesting.
Just
Barney,
Potato Head at some
Hot
point?
Wheels.
No, that's not-
What are some of the
They
other
already
ones?
have cars. They
Yeah.
already have Barney. Like
Christian
It's-
Bale can be Barney.
Christian Bale is Barney. Yes. Hi kids.
isn't
Clean
they're
up,
already
clean up now.
isn't Daniel Kaluuya already doing?
He's-
How do you say his
So,
last name?
Kaluuya, I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but yeah, that's the Barney movie they're talking about. Is they're going to make that?
Isn't
part
that
of,
supposed to be
this-
like a fucking horror movie?
like an A24 type drama? Like I don't know what's going on, but somebody at
Wheels.
Mattel wants to make a shared cinematic universe.
What
I
the
heard
You know what Hot
on
Wheels-
the. Do you listen to the Matt and Shane secret podcast? Matt McCusker and Shane
sparingly,
Gillis.
sparingly, yes.
They had Dan Soder on it in the most recent episode, and I mean, take it with a grain of salt because it's just he was talking about it, but he said that they're making a movie about Faces of Death, and it's supposed to play the way that like Nike Air movie that just came out did.
Oh yeah.
So it's supposed
yeah.
to be like about them making Faces of Death, which I was like, that's
Oh.
actually kind of cool. I would watch
That's
that.
interesting. Yeah. So I actually I still
thought they
haven't
were just
seen
remaking
Air. I do want to see that. It's supposed to be good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It's just Matt
I was
Damon
going
and
to
Ben
ask if you wanted to
Affleck
get some
being.
Dominoes.
Let's see.
Dynamos.
Here we go.
A lot of Dynamos.
With dozens of children's toys on their film slate, 14 Mattel properties are in active development, including Barney, Polly Pocket, Thomas and Friends, and American
I
Girl.
did hear about
Are
the
they all
Barney
going to be
one.
like PG-13
I
fucking
don't-
movies?
Dude, because if they
No.
did Barney as like a serial killer,
That'd
that
be
would be sick.
crazy.
That'd be awesome.
Let's see. Yeah, Hot Wheels.
I mean, if
produced-
you're gonna do it,
It'd be
let's get
awesome.
wild.
this
It'd be
news,
like
this
not-
news
not-
bit is
Not,
bumming me
not
out.
Barney,
Right?
actually,
Sorry.
the guy that plays Barney is a serial killer and he like abducts the
Yeah.
children.
Isn't that well? It's not a serial killer, but isn't that pretty much the plot of like Death to Smoochie? It's just like a fucked up like
Yeah.
Barney.
that
Oh,
movie's-
that's a
I
great
forgot about that
movie,
with,
actually.
what's his fucking name?
Robin
Robin
Williams.
Williams.
No, Robin Williams and Edward
Edward
Norton.
Norton.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's a
Sure
great
is.
movie.
Let's see. Yeah, so
But if they did,
Polly
like-
Pocket Hot Wheels, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, starring Vin Diesel, American
That's just
Girl,
gonna be Transformers. So like,
Magic 8 Ball, Masters of the Universe, Major Matt Mason, starring Tom Hanks, Uno, Wishbone. Like
time out,
what's
time out.
what's the story? Wishbone.
What, Uno?
Yeah.
Uno.
Like the card
Card
game?
game?
This, the top performing card game in the world will now become a movie. This is all right from Variety.
What's the movie gonna
I
be?
don't know.
It's possessed Uno cards.
That'll be
Oh.
a fucking AI written movie.
Right? Matchbox, Thomas and Friends, Viewmaster, the clicking Viewmaster toy, a Viewmaster movie, and Christmas Balloon. Not sure what that is, but
Christmas balloons.
The
interesting.
balloon you
All
get
right,
at
well,
Christmas.
I guess
Yes,
I.
balloons are Christmas.
Welcome to the
Calling it
world
quits.
of yeah.
I'm gonna
Welcome to the
go home
world
and
of
kill myself.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what these movies actually end up being. It's gonna
Yeah.
be something so ridiculous.
And that's what they're banking on. Is that?
No, I'm not going to go see it. I'm just curious about the plot. Like, because like Hot Wheels, it's just going to be like this woke group of teenagers in high school.
Woke
they're-
group of
but they're-
cars.
But here's the no. Here's the difference. They're all in wheelchairs because it's Hot Wheels, so they're all in wheelchairs.
my
Some sort of-
God.
No, but see that,
Yeah.
but it's a woke version. So it's not in a mad way.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, gee, I don't know how you make a lot of these movies, but Jesus Christ. Like, welcome to the world of intellectual property and shared universes in Hollywood.
Yeah. Jeez.
Everyone's like, so they're going to try and parlay this gigantic success of Barbie, which none of us have seen yet, into just they're just going to try and catch lightning in a bottle again.
So what? No Connect 4? Like that would be sick.
I don't
Well,
think
Battleship.
Yeah, Battleship. They already made a
Battleship
Battleship movie.
Did you
Did
ever
they?
see that piece of trash movie?
Oh, I want to watch it. I
It's
love
the
that.
dumbest movie
It
ever.
was hot garbage.
You saw it?
Yeah, it's like from like 2012, 2013.
Rihanna's in it.
Rihanna's in it.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't
yeah.
even put on my watch list.
Oh my God,
There you go.
Kat, you would probably love it.
Love it.
Liam
I love
Neeson's in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was just cashing a
Oh
check.
man, this is like
Yeah.
really.
This is like I think this was like pre-taken Liam Neeson when he
Dude,
was
well,
like,
they made-
having like
you
an
know,
existential
Well,
crisis.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that
right?
rock movie Rampage about the video game, but
It
it had
was.
nothing to do with
I
the
actually
video
heard that
game?
was like okay, like actually
Was it?
pretty good. Yeah,
Rampage.
Did they ever make
Rampage.
a Tekken movie? Were they supposed
I don't
to?
think they made a Tekken movie. I mean, I can see like turning like something like Mortal Kombat into a movie because
Well, yeah, I think
because
that,
it's like it's like, you know, there's like some story
They
involved.
did turn Mortal Kombat into a movie.
No, I know. I'm saying they did. That's I can see why you would want to do that though.
Whatever happened
Why
to
would you want
the
to turn?
but I can
Why
see,
would you
like,
want to turn Uno into a
Kirby
movie?
would be one.
whatever happened to the R-rated
Kirby.
Spawn remake?
That's been in development for like 25
Development
years.
hell,
Yeah.
just gone.
Yeah. I mean, I would like a Spawn movie. I think that's pretty
I
cool
never.
stuff.
I always liked the other one when I was a kid.
Oh, sick.
But this one, it was supposed to be like a hard fucking.
The Dark
Violent
Man was
R-rated
also
movie.
another awesome one. Was it
That's
Dark
Sam
Man?
Raimi.
Dark Man, that was
Yeah,
Sam Raimi.
Was that Sam Raimi?
Yes, that's another Liam Neeson movie. Liam Neeson and Sam
that
Raimi.
name later.
He might come up in a little bit. It's a little bit of a tease for you. But yeah, so Mattel's cinematic universe talk here in America's Hometown Horror. Fun stuff, you guys.
See, maybe they will make a movie called Don't Wake Daddy.
Don't wake Daddy.
Oh
Trying to
my
pitch that
God.
for
Daddy's
forever.
That's just
hungover
The
and will
Shining.
beat the shit out of you. That's essentially The Shining is Don't Wake Daddy the movie. It's actually probably a good call. Don't wake Jackie. Actually, here's another little piece of news I saw today that piqued my interest. Interesting considering the massive success that they recently had with Scream 5 and Scream 6, directing duo or trio. I forget if it's two or
I
three
think it's
guys.
two guys.
Radio Silence has left Scream 7 as they continue to work on their untitled monster movie for Universal, which is rumored to be a Universal
Bride of
monster
Frankenstein.
movie, maybe Fred Frankenstein or Dracula type thing, or some combination of that type of thing.
Oh.
A remake of Abbott and Costello.
Right? Oh, I mean, I would be all the fuck in
Me
on that.
too.
I'm actually kind of pumped for this news because I think that they're a very interesting directing team, and I like a lot of their stuff. And I feel like the Scream movies just aren't for me at this point. I would like to see them do some other things and be a little bit more creative.
You look angry.
But Kat, you will be pleased to know that the director taking over Scream 7 is Christopher Landon, who is a name you probably don't know.
No.
He directed Happy Death Day, Happy
Okay.
Death Day to You, and
Yeah.
Freaky, the
Cool.
Vince Vaughn movie that we saw, the serial killer Vince Vaughn
right,
movie.
right, right, right.
I actually didn't mind that movie.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like his stuff. The Happy Death Day
They're
movie was
violent
fun
as
as
shit.
shit.
actually remember saying I didn't hate Happy Death Day.
You did.
they're
Yeah.
super,
It was the most
they're super
shocking
gory.
thing ever. Yeah, shocking. So yeah, some movement there on the new Scream movie. If anybody cares
That's
about
actually
that.
my ringtone
I did
all
see
the
that.
time.
Yep.
It's my birthday. Why don't you pick up the
that's the
phone?
most
That's
annoying
my
thing in the
that's my
world.
ringtone.
Why would that be your ringtone?
It's for everyone. It's great. I
And I
Sorry.
guess no, you're on a podcast. You're supposed to talk. No need to apologize. It's okay. All right, we're gonna get into some watch list stuff before we move into tonight's topic. Before that, why don't we take a little break here and pay some bills? We'll be right back. And we're back, which means we're going to talk about watch list stuff. Hopefully this won't be too light. I don't really have too much to report. Anyone listen to any scary episodes of Radio Rental lately? Watched any
Yeah, I finished
movies
all of
besides
those.
The Exorcist? Anyone
All
want
of them?
to kick us off? Matt, you finished all of Radio Rental?
Yep.
Ah, boy, man.
Wow.
It was good.
Were you able
It's
to
good.
sleep at night after finishing all of them? Some of them are
Yeah, so
genuinely-
I don't think I talked about it last week on the podcast, but I know I texted you guys. The one with the kid in the woods
neither of them have heard that yet, but I know exactly what
when he
you're talking
hangs out
about.
with the little girl Laura.
Yes. Yep.
That's the scariest episode on the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, that's a really weird
I'll get
story.
there.
That was
Which one was that?
insane. I told Sarah that whole layout, and she was like, "Whoa, dude! Like that's fuck. It's like fucked up, and then it's more fucked up, and then it's wicked fucked up. You're like, it just keeps unraveling.
It almost kind of like starts out as like a traditional ghost story told from the point of view as a kid, and then it takes this like hard right turn, and it's real dark.
fucking horrifying.
Yeah, like
dude.
real dark, real sinister. Yeah, it's one of the more hardcore
Out of
stories
control.
I think, like on the podcast. And there's some hardcore stories on there, like some really crazy
That
shit.
sounds like it should
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones. You
Yeah, I
guys
know.
are- I'm
I
telling you,
listened
gotta
to the
keep
one with the
listening.
doppelganger too. That was
Great one.
fucking
That's a
insane.
lot of fun. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then those for the like more early episodes, those are the two that like really, really, really stood out to me.
Yeah.
And then the guy that gets hammered with the girl in the wig. But
Oh,
you like
that
explained
was-
that when you
yeah,
did before,
yeah,
so I was like,
yeah.
okay, I kind of just want.
Sorry that I ruined it for
That's
you.
okay. Either way, I think that one I just would have been like, oh, that's sketchy.
One of the
I don't
newer
think I
Nothing
would have been as
actually
like
happened at
devastated
the
by
end.
it.
Yeah. One of the newer ones that creeped me out pretty good was the woman that was her husband was on a business trip and she was home alone,
Oh, the guy with the horse
and a
mask.
guy was just outside her house wearing a horse mask,
Yeah, that's
just
fucked
like
up.
stalking around the outside of her house, like fucking real creepy and weird. So yeah, that was good. Radio Rental. We talk about it, I feel like, every week now, but it's so good. You got to listen to it.
Was he naying?
He was not neighing. He was being incredibly creepy though,
Yay.
and apparently trying to, or I don't even think I feel like he. I won't spoil it. Listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it's creepy stuff. Horse masks creep me the fuck out.
Yeah. That's a
Creep
weird, that's
me
an interesting
the fuck
mask to wear.
out.
I
Yeah,
don't think I watched anything.
I figured as much. No.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, maybe we watched. I think we watched the most recent episode of What We Do in the Shadows since last time I
Okay.
recorded. Unless we
I
talked.
haven't seen that one yet.
No, I was talking about the one with Nandor's new friend and.
Right. That was we talked about that last week.
Yeah, and then what else happened in that one? Oh, that's when Colin Robinson and his ex-girlfriend go to the council of
so
the energy vampires.
Yes.
When he's
That was
running
good.
for comptroller. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really good one.
But that fifth, there was a fifth one?
I think there's a new one now.
Yeah, that came out probably.
There's
I
probably a
haven't seen
new
that
one out
yet.
now. Yeah, I mean, I'm like this week. I mean, I still listen to a ton of podcasts in my car, but I haven't had a lot of time to watch a lot of movies, and this is really killing this segment right now. Matthew, anything you want to report on?
Sure.
What do you got?
I watched a movie called Torso. This is an Italian giallo movie. One of the more exploitative ones for sure. There's a lot of nudity. It's really bloody. This was Sergio Martino. He did a lot of like spaghetti westerns, which are Italian westerns, basically. That's
Okay.
the same where you got like the
Seems
character
fucking
Django
racist.
from, not from him, but like Django is like that kind
Right.
of idea.
Right.
And then Quentin Tarantino obviously turned it into his own thing. But
Sorry, we're saying spaghetti westerns is racist.
Sounds fucking
Yes.
racist.
It's actually is a Hollywood term. It's
Yeah.
a-
No, I know. But
Yeah.
if you called it like fucking pork fried rice, fucking whatever, or something,
Westerns.
it would be like the most racist thing you've ever said.
That
Well,
is-
the
I
same.
know,
No,
I
there
know,
it is.
I know.
that was their own self.
yeah,
No, I
made
know
title
it's just
for
a
it, so.
funny name.
Yeah.
Spaghetti
it
Western.
is.
Spaghetti
for
monster.
sure.
But, so Torso is just about, it's like like basically this, it's almost like Maniac, where he has a lot of like pent up sexual frustration issues to deal with. But he just kills everyone with a fucking hacksaw.
Seems like
Yeah.
a common theme. In
Yeah.
a lot of these.
But there's just like these like prolonged scenes of just like people like doing drugs and like just naked Italian women. So it's like,
Sounds
you,
like a good
Dana, you
spaghetti
love
western.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of those like giallo movies kind of like there was an era, like a little period where it was like a lot of like gratuitous nudity and violence, that's just how they go. For Wes Craven's birthday, I watched The Hills Have Eyes.
I love that
Um,
movie.
The original
That might
one,
come up
yeah,
later.
the old one.
I like the new one.
Yeah, the new one's fucking. That's one of the best horror remakes
Yeah.
ever.
The Texas Chainsaw, that was good. I like the Texas.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw one's good. Obviously, tough to beat the original one there,
Right.
but it's a solid
It's not
remake. It expands the
Um,
story a little bit. It's good.
But the original Hills Have Eyes, dude, that movie is still a fucking absolute gut punch of a
Yeah.
movie. Like it's still like that whole RV attack scene is.
Yeah.
That's
Fucking-
legit, dude.
yeah.
Like that is
Brutal.
no fucking joke, and that was 1977.
Yeah.
I watched the movie Ghost Story. I've seen this one before, but it's actually a really good, like, scary movie from the 80s. I want to say it's 80 or 81, but it's this group of guys, old guys that like tell ghost stories. They get together and like they have this whole kind of like generational tale and how it all unwinds. This guy's brother kills himself. He goes home. He finds out that he was haunted by this girl. Long story short, they're just trying to investigate who this girl was and why she's a ghost and what's going on.
Okay.
I don't want to get too much into it because it's actually
Seems
like
kinda
worth
interesting.
watching.
Yeah.
It's got
I'd
that
check
kind of
it
like
out.
Changeling vibe in terms of
I
like
was
you want to
actually-
find out what's happening.
I feel like I always get this movie confused with Changeling.
Yeah, so I don't want to give too much away.
All right.
And then I watched Irreversible because that. So I'm kind of backlogging
Oh,
my blog,
yeah, that makes sense.
There you go.
and so that is still just as rough as it always is.
Yep.
But it's just so incredibly well made, and I actually realized that the edition that I own has the straight cut of it that doesn't play in backward chronological order. It actually plays front to back.
interesting.
So when Gaspar Noé tried to release this movie, it was front to back, and they were like, "No, Like, Jesus Christ! Like, why would we want to show this anywhere? Like, it's just basically a woman just finds out she's pregnant, she gets raped and beaten into a coma, and then guys go to kill her, attack her, and they kill the wrong guy. They're like, that's a fucking horrible fucking story." But he's like, well, no, that's the catch. And like he off the top of his head was like, well, no, I'm going to do it in backward chronological order. Because this was when like Pulp Fiction was really popular. And like, this was like early 2000s. Memento had just come out.
Oh yeah.
So he kind of played on that and was like, well, no, I'm going to do it completely in backward chronological order. So you watch it unfold backwards, which arguably is
Worse.
much more
I feel like
devastating.
this movie is more devastating that way. The other way is just like meh, but this way is
It was
more.
yeah, so it's a fucking hard movie to watch, but it's incredibly well done, but it is fucking brutal, dude. Like it is a serious
It's just a
like
very
note in just
uncomfortable
like
movie to
cinema
watch.
violence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
And it's just like incredibly offensive. Like it's just
Yeah.
not by any means a movie that's like gonna be given a green light today. There's a lot of harsh language in it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like I think it's such an incredibly well done movie, and it's an important movie to watch for people that can stomach it. But that's it. That'll be so. I got some backlog for the brutality blog.
Brutality. Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
Andrew, watch anything interesting over the last week?
So I watched this movie called Black Mountainside from like 2016 or 2014, one of those years.
Never heard of it.
Pretty sure it's on Tubi. Mike, you would probably like this movie. Matt, you would probably like it too. Not the best. It's definitely it's got to have a lower budget. Not the best acting that you're going to find. Like the acting's good in parts, and then it's some lacking in other parts. But the general story I always find interesting. It takes place in like northern Canada, where this group of archaeologists find like this old ruins of like a temple,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, but it's Mesoamerican.
Interesting.
And then it gets very The Thing-ish and little Lovecraftian.
Oh,
There's like a deer god, but
okay.
the monster's lacking. The voice is cool. The concept has been done before, but it's very well executed. I thought it was very interesting. It was directed by some guy called Nick. I have no idea what your last name is. It's like 13 letters, Z's, S's. Zaza.
Go ahead. Do it.
Zostakowski. I don't know.
Let me see. I want to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
The fucking
Interesting.
mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Sauce that it was.
that's
I'd have to
nightmare.
say if I had to guess, it's sauce that it was.
sauce to couche.
There's a J at the
Sauce.
end.
Yeah, it could be a Zoskoje. It could also just be a Zosk. Like the Polish names are fucking crazy. To
Yeah,
pronounce,
I was like
so-
trying. I was like, no idea.
Yeah.
Butchered.
That's okay.
Interesting
assume
movie
that's a
though. I
Polish
think it was
name.
on Tubi. It might have been on Screenbox for some reason, but I think it was Tubi.
Okay.
Worth checking
Sullivan.
out. I thought it was good. I liked it. It wasn't very long. It was an hour and 40 minutes, but that's pretty short now.
That's called Black Mountain.
Black Mountainside.
Is it in
Black
English?
Side.
Yeah, it's English. Yep. It was a Canadian movie, I think, made in Canada,
Okay.
so it's all in English.
Cool.
Yeah, Canadian indie horror thriller.
Cool.
Not bad.
Nice.
And then I watched The Brood, 1979.
What'd you think?
Fucking wild movie.
Yeah.
Dude.
Was that the first time you watched it?
I thought I had seen it before. Then I started watching it. I'm like, I've never seen this fucking movie.
Those little fucking
Those little
creatures are
gremlin
fucked
fucking
up,
creatures.
dude.
They reminded me of like little guys in Phantasm. That's just like,
Kinda, yeah.
but like
They're just scary children.
slightly cooler because you can see their face.
Yeah, they look
Um,
like shit.
yeah, they're fucking wild.
Creepy
Oliver
looking.
Reed is phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah, he is.
I was watching it. I was like, why the fuck do I know that guy? It's a big name actor, but I was like, Gladiator. That's where he was. He's like when Russell Crowe gets sold, he's like the coach basically of the gladiators.
I don't think he gives them
yeah.
No, he is. I looked it up
Was
because
he?
I was like, that's 100. Because he was talking at the beginning, like his whole like that introduction where he's like talking to that like kid.
Oh, you know what?
Michael.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yep. Yeah, he died in 99. So that was like just after.
He's awesome as that guy in that movie in Gladiator.
Dude just drank himself to death.
Oliver Reed. Yeah, in his final role in Gladiator.
Mhm.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah, I
Because he
guess
couldn't have been that. How old was he?
not that old.
Yeah,
He
didn't
just
seem
loved
older.
drinking.
In 1979, he looked like he was like in his 20s.
He was at like a pub in like Scotland or something, maybe London or Ireland, either way. And he like was with a bunch of young guys and just was like, I guess he pounded like a legendary amount of alcohol. And then he like, I think he had like a heart attack, like when
Oh,
he
and
left
died.
and he died. Yeah.
It's the way to go out, man.
Jesus Christ.
Well, he was like asked about his like alcoholism. And he was like, I would rather like, he was like, I will drink myself. He's like, I'll die a happy guy just being able to drink.
Wow.
So he just didn't give a fuck. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm seeing a picture of him in Gladiator. I'm jogging my memory. Like, oh yeah, bro, that
He's,
guy.
There's a movie called The Devils. That's it should still be on Shudder because they got the rights to it, and I really hope they didn't fucking screw it up with this whole AMC fucking bullshit they had to go through.
Mm.
But it's a 1972 movie that was extremely hard to find, extremely hard to get the rights to.
Mhm.
It's a the name will come to me, but great movie. Oliver Reed is the lead in it, and it is fucking absolutely
The Devils.
wonderful. Yeah. And it's about like during like the French I want to say the French Revolution. Could be before that because it's actually like the 15th century. And so he plays a like cardinal and he has a relationship with a nun who he gets pregnant and it turns into
Oh,
this
I've
whole-
seen that movie. I feel like I just watched that movie and I like
They like
a
make
year
him
ago,
shave his head and
it
shit.
was so awkward. Yeah, that was that.
And there's like that like Hunchback nun.
Yeah, that was on Shudder. I watched that
Yeah.
when it was on Shudder.
So that's a really, really crazy movie. And they thought that they were all like
that was French
witches and sacrilegious, like basically. But yeah, I forget exactly like the time.
It was definitely
like during like
the-
King Henry and shit.
like what was the big thing that they did with like the Catholic Church, the Inquisition or whatever,
Something like that. But
Spanish.
he's incredible in that movie. And that director, I don't think
Ken Russell.
Ken Russell. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
knew there was an R somewhere. It is very, very good. And that since I saw that and then I saw him in The Brood, I was like, man, I gotta go and watch some of his other like just like regular like drama movies because he's a fucking exceptional actor.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy. That movie was so fucking.
What did you think though, like overall? Because that movie
It
rocks.
kept me entertained till the very end. So the only scene I had ever seen though was that
The ending.
final scene,
Yeah.
which
That's
it-
the downfall of all those countdown things.
it kind of sucks. Like because I was like, I'm waiting for it and waiting for it. And I was like, oh, it's like the very ending scene. But they still did a good job of like hiding the actual story till the very
Yeah,
end.
the kill scenes are fucking crazy.
Yeah. Like what are they using? Rubber fucking.
They're
hammers?
so fucking bloody.
Yeah, dude. And when
Chris
she's
Cronenberg for you.
yeah, I thought I really like that movie. I think
Yeah.
that's one of his top like.
I agree.
3 or
I think
5.
that's my favorite movie that he's made.
I see you're on a Cronenberg kick lately between that and The Fly.
I have been.
recently,
The
and-
Fry. I watched Eastern.
Fry.
The Fry.
Eastern Promises. I watched.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
that movie's great too. That's the Russian.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good
that
one.
and History of Violence is phenomenal.
Viggo
Yeah,
Mortenstein, baby, and David
Viggo
Cronenberg.
Mortenstein.
Cool. The Brood. Anything else?
No, that is it.
All right. Perfect. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right. Well, why don't we use this opportunity here to take a quick 90-second break for a word from our sponsors, and we're going to come back at you with a draft.
It's official. The critics' decision is in. Spooky World is spectacular. Enter the new black hole. If you dare. Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200. It's America's horror theme park, Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monstrous strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's a killer this year. Then read next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
And we're back. Guys, can you believe it's been since March since we've done a draft?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was I was
Really?
very
Was that the
surprised.
Death draft?
That was the death draft. That was the last draft that we did.
Wow.
Because the last couple
What have we
times
been
that we
doing,
talked,
dude?
last couple times that we talked about doing drafts, most recently we did the This Year in Horror 2017, and before that we did horror hot takes. Remember we did that episode?
The like open
Those are
discussion.
those were like kind of like our wild card discussion episodes. But yeah, last draft that we had, best deaths in horror fantasy draft, published on March 31st of this year.
Wow.
It's been like 5 months, like 4 months, kind of
That's
crazy.
fucked. Wow.
Yeah, I know. So we're overdue. We're overdue. I'm very excited. This is only our third draft this year. We did a Janthology segment draft, and now we did the horror deaths draft, and now we're going to do another draft. And this time we're drafting horror movie directors. So I think the qualifications for this were pretty simple, but if you listen to our show before, you know that we love us some drafts. And but if you haven't listened to the show,
Yeah, we went on a big run for movies.
basically what we're doing is a snake style fantasy draft, very much akin to like your standard fantasy football league that you're in with your buddies or your gal pals, whoever your friends are. And this time we're just drafting directors. I mean, I don't know about you guys here. I mean, I'm not going to hold anyone to these rules, but when I was thinking about putting together my potential list of horror directors, I was thinking that to be considered a quote unquote horror director, they had to have at least directed several horror films. And when I say several, I'm thinking like at least 3
Yeah,
That's
I was
the
looking
standard
at
great
I went
horror
with.
films.
Yeah, I was
Horror
like,
movie,
which
you know?
made it very difficult, but
Yeah.
there's still a lot.
Like, so I would say like William Friedkin directed a great horror movie, arguably one of the greatest of all time, but not necessarily a horror
Questionable,
director.
yeah.
I mean,
He
that
had
and Bug maybe.
and The Guardian.
I mean, Stanley Kubrick, you could argue that The Shining, and I would argue, is one of the best horror films ever made. But beyond that, I mean,
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, kind of. There's
2001.
2001. There's creepy stuff in a lot of his other movies that are not necessarily outright horror movies. So
Even
I,
Alfred Hitchcock.
I personally would not consider that one. But I mean, Hitchcock's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Much more.
You
I
could
mean, I would say The
argue Vertigo.
Birds. I would say The Birds and Psycho. Absolutely yes.
I would
Vertigo.
argue Vertigo.
Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Yeah.
There's suspense.
Maybe.
There's
thrillers.
suspense thrillers though, but there's still.
I'd allow Hitchcock if one of you guys
I mean,
want
for
to take
that
Hitchcock.
time period,
It's as much of a horror movie as like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Prisoners.
I-
that's the same
I would
thing.
think Fincher would be out for me too, and he's my favorite working
I-
director
I
right
don't-
now. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't
didn't
pick
even consider Fincher.
yeah,
I didn't even pop in my head.
Do we have a draft order picked up?
we do actually. Yeah, I was gonna get to that here in a
I
second.
was like,
We were
did
just
I
having a
miss that text
conversation about
message
this.
somewhere?
No.
Yeah, I
Nope.
don't even think of that. Yeah.
No, so I did take the liberty of picking the draft order earlier. And again, we're going to do snake style drafting, which means we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 again until we run out of horror directors here to pick.
Wait, you picked it earlier by yourself?
I did.
Are you conveniently first?
No, you're first actually.
Oh, me.
Yeah, so Kat's first.
There goes Wes Craven.
I'm up second, followed by Matthew, followed by Andrew. So Andrew will get 2 picks back to back at the end of round 1 and the beginning of round 2, and then Kat will get 2 picks back to back at the
Andrew's
end of
fourth.
round 2. Andrew's 4th.
I might just pick fucking Don just to fuck
Don
with
Costa.
us. Yeah.
Just pick the Dawn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
purposely didn't put that on my list just because I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
right.
fucking bother.
So obviously this is
Not on my
a
list.
fun idea.
No?
Gives us a good way to talk about not only the
I've talked
filmography of
about
these
that.
directors, their legacy, some of their movies, all kinds of stuff. So with that being said, without further ado, Kat, you're on the clock.
Okay, I'm picking not for my first pick, Wes Craven. No, I'm gonna pick Jordan Peele.
Okay.
Wow.
It's your first pick though, so
Curveball.
you could pick either one.
Yeah, you could have picked whoever you wanted, obviously, because
I
you're
mean,
the
I have
first
a
overall
list of
pick.
people.
Okay, well,
Is
so
he in the
what's-
list? Yeah, but I want to pick Jordan Peele first because he's like the first person that popped into my head.
Okay.
It's a good one.
So obviously, what?
I was gonna pick that with my second round.
I figured
Well,
one
I
of you
knew-
guys should
yeah,
take
yeah, that
Jordan
was-
Peele.
I
I
was gonna
figured
go
you're Wes
soon.
Craven for sure.
I had Peele on my list too, but like not up at the top. I would have taken him if he were going to be out there later
I
on.
figured he would have been
Yeah.
Gonzo. I didn't
Yeah.
even bother.
Yeah. No. So since 2017, he put out several horror films, starring black leads, focusing on serious social commentary, like
Written
within
by Cat GPT.
the entertainment
ChatGPT definitely wrote this draft summary.
value. With Us, the Candyman reboot, his newest venture. No,
He didn't
Hunter's
direct the
Bell.
Candyman, so you can't talk about that
Okay.
one, which I know you're reading from the Wikipedia page
I
right now.
wrote notes earlier,
This is the Wikipedia
so now I
page.
sound nice when I'm podcasting. So,
You can't count Candyman. Sorry.
well, movies that I like and/or things that
Yeah.
he has directed. Nope, Get Out, Us, and I liked the Lovecraft Country TV show.
Again,
TV show, right?
Again, didn't
Yes.
direct it.
Well, he was involved in it. We'll say.
Well, this is a
He directed.
director.
I think he directed the pilot.
Okay, well, I guess.
And I would say, okay, yes, he didn't direct Candyman. He didn't direct all of Lovecraft Country, but I think we can still at least talk about the things that
Okay.
he's connected to.
True.
I would say. I don't
True,
think
true.
that's off the table. True.
But
So yeah,
he pretty much came in as a director, and
He's got 3 already, though, so you're good.
he did Get Out, and
3
everyone
bangers.
was just like,
All
whoa.
bangers,
Like it was just
Well, Get Out
like
was
he
a
was like,
fucking-
oh,
that was a
okay.
monster
Like
movie.
he got everyone's attention by getting
directing Get
by
Out.
directing Get Out. Yes.
He also writes and directs all of his
Yes.
movies.
Yes.
This is
which
another
is
big one.
huge. Yeah. So Jordan Peele is my first pick. Thanks.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I had a feeling he'd probably go pretty high. But I mean, obviously, still a guy very early on in his directing career. And I mean, it's impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's hard to think that he can top the first 3 movies that he's made. But I mean, he's continued to push out hit after hit.
I think so.
I loved Nope. I know a lot of people weren't as high on that as they were his first 2 movies. Actually, some people weren't that high on Us, which I loved. I think I
Yeah.
actually liked Us a little bit better than Get Out, to be honest with you. But Get Out, obviously, like the first time I remember where it
Get
was.
Out was
yeah.
Very good.
I remember the
Yeah.
first time I saw Get Out in theaters, the first like one of the first weeks that it was open. Yeah, it's a crazy movie, crazy twists, creepy story with a lot of, like you mentioned, Cat GPT mentioned the social themes in it. Obviously, that's very important to the whole story. But he's just a very interesting director. I feel like he's just a horror nerd at heart, which is awesome.
He's good at actors too.
Yeah. So
I feel like he's just starting off. Like there is so much of Jordan Peele left.
Yeah.
I don't think he's made his best movie yet.
No.
I also am a little bit worried too because he also hasn't had his dud yet. He's due for everyone has a dud, don't they? Most of them.
I guess you can't really call anything a dud until he's done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was also connected to, I think he was a producer on Black Klansman, the Spike Lee movie. So I mean, he was connected to that too. He's fucked. Got his hands in a lot of interesting stuff. Lovecraft Country was really good. And I can't believe they canceled that after one season.
Yeah, that was
sucked.
really good.
Yeah, the guy who wrote Lovecraft Country, the book, actually just came up with a sequel to Lovecraft Country that I do want to pick up at some point. But yeah,
maybe it will come back.
Jordan Peele off the board for Cat at 101. Jordan Peele. John Carpenter off the board. I feel like he is the like a huge obvious name here. I promise I'm not going to try and go like all huge names here, but he's my favorite horror director of all time, and I think a lot of people would probably consider him to be the greatest horror director of all time.
He was my number one.
I mean, so
me too.
I mean, I figured he'd be number one, but.
Well, I figured that one of you guys were gonna pick him.
Oh, he's
first,
100%.
so I didn't even bother.
Yeah, I mean, not only a director would be lucky to have movies like Halloween or The Thing, have one of those movies in their filmography like their entire career. He has both. And then amongst others, you add on top of that The Fog, They Live, Prince of Darkness, Christine in the Mouth of Madness. I love fucking John Carpenter's Vampires. That movie fucking rocks.
And then you have still Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah, I was going to say, even like his non-horror stuff. Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from L.A., like Starman. Plus, on top of that, like his musical talents, he's also writing a lot of these movies as well. He wrote arguably the most iconic score for a horror movie ever made when he went with Halloween. But, I mean, by the way, Halloween, The Thing, and They Live, all movies that we've covered on this show. I'm actually surprised that we haven't done more Carpenter. I can't believe we haven't done The Fog yet.
That's definitely one we should look at.
Yeah,
towards Halloween.
That's a really good one for that type of season. But yeah, I mean, the thing that bums me out is I know that so he's still very interesting and he still has his hands in a lot of stuff as like an executive producer, like a hands-off thing. Like the most consistently excellent thing he's done in recent years is still writing music, which he's phenomenal at. Him and his son write music now. Like they wrote all the music for the new Halloween trilogy that came out, which was great. He hasn't really had that like late career Renaissance all-timer yet.
He won't.
And I know that he has hinted in interviews recently that he is working on something. Some people think it's a sequel to The Thing. Others think it is some other original concept that he's come up with, but apparently he wants to direct like one more movie.
I heard he was supposed to do a movie based on Dead Space.
Now, I've heard something about that too, because he's I guess all he does now is write music, smoke weed, and play video games. That's what he does.
Sick. What is he, like 70?
Wow.
He's in his 70s. Yeah. I mean,
what a dog.
Chain smokes like a chimney.
Yeah.
And he's like gruff guy. Very interesting interview though. So
Hollywood.
I hates Hollywood, but it's so refreshing. He's an interesting guy, and he makes awesome movies. That's why he's far and away my number one. He was my number one overall rated horror director, and I just hope that we have not seen the last feature film from John Carpenter. That's what I would say.
It'd be cool if we got one more.
Yeah, be really cool. So John Carpenter off the board. Anything that I missed, or you guys want to chime in on there with? I
would say even with the fact that I don't like the Halloween movies, other than Halloween 3. He's still my number one because of all the other movies you said. He's the best.
You really just don't even like the first one.
I don't mind it, but it does nothing. Wow. So it's more of something like that.
I got you.
But he's still the best.
Well, I would say that I'm not the biggest slasher guy either, but that's the best slasher.
But that's it's a slasher.
Or different. Obviously, you put Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the conversation. Maybe that'll come up a little bit.
It's 10 times
you
better
can put,
than your normal slasher.
Nightmare on Elm Street in there, but I think Halloween is arguably the most iconic of those.
It's clearly the most iconic.
In my opinion. I know everyone else probably has a different opinion, but Halloween's great. And I rank The Thing above Halloween for me.
The
my
Thing is the
personal
one that
taste. I think that is over in recent years, not even recent years, over the last like 5-8 years, that has, I think, moved into my top slot of all time.
Don't forget about Body Bags.
Yeah, Body Bags. So, yeah, he acts in Body Bags. I forgot about that one. Yeah, movie we talked about in this podcast. Body Bags, baby. All right, which means that we are moving on to Matthew for his first pick in the first round. Matthew, who you got?
All right, so I'm gonna do a play here because I got to play off what I think Andrew won't pick,
Okay.
and that will bounce back to me after.
Okay.
So
what I
Playing the
want-
game.
I'm gonna go
Coscarelli.
with
Playing the game.
Toby Hooper.
Ah.
So I'm gonna take Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is my favorite horror movie of all time. I'm gonna take Salem's Lot. I'm gonna take Funhouse. I'm gonna take Poltergeist.
Yep.
Invaders from Mars.
Nice.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Toby Hooper is an interesting guy. I always cracked up at his story about how he thought of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and just being in a hardware store waiting in line and being like looking at a chainsaw on the wall. And he's like, what if I just mowed all these people down? I didn't have to wait in line anymore, which is fucking insane.
I
Like
mean-
absolutely out of control maniac thought.
Yeah.
But he also just kind of like was like as like reserved and like gentle as he was, he clearly was a fucking maniac,
demented.
dude. Yeah. Salem's Lot, I know it kind of doesn't age well and a lot of people don't like it. I love Salem's Lot,
Yeah, it's good.
even though it's fucking 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It still has some of the most creepy fucking vampire scenes, I think, in any vampire movie that's ever been made.
I agree there.
Without any question at all whatsoever. The little kid at the window, the kid in the coffin, the guy in the fucking rocking chair, all of it. And it's the fucking arguably Stephen King's best book.
Yep. Touche.
Poltergeist rocks. I mean, you can argue that Steven Spielberg really directed it, but I don't give a shit. Toby Hooper's name was attached to it. And I also love Funhouse. If you haven't seen
Funhouse is really good.
it's one of the most underrated horror movies I think of all time.
Yeah. That one gets
it
like
goes-
no love.
It gets zero love. It goes super under the radar, and it is a fantastic monster movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not really even that big of a monster movie guy, but that one fucking rocks, and it's just good 80s horror.
Yeah.
And just, you know what? I absolutely envy anyone that got to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in theaters when it originally came out, because that just must have been fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
And to just think that he made that, like, what a fucking cool movie to have on your like track record. Just even the fucking name is cool. Like the Texas Chainsaw. There's not a cooler movie name, I think, ever. So Toby Hooper
Pretty
fucking rocks.
iconic.
Yeah.
It grabs your attention immediately.
Did you mention Eaten Alive? I don't think you
Being Alive, yeah.
Sorry, that movie's so bad, but it's still a good movie. So, but yeah, Toby Hooper's that's a slam dunk first round.
One of the greats.
That's going to be my first number one pick.
I
I was
like it.
banking on Andrew just not picking what I want to go
All right.
with next.
Well, Wes
All
Craven.
right, we'll see where we go. I always remember listening to like watching back the Bravo countdown, Bravo's 100 scariest movie moments, and listening to Toby Hooper talk about a variety of different movies and just how, like you mentioned it, both like how soft spoken he was compared to the the brutality of something
Jarring,
like like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or like any of his other movies. But it was just interesting to see. So. Yeah, he who loves Toby Hooper is Mick Garris. I guess they were really, really good friends until Toby Hooper passed away. Because I know Toby Hooper, I think, did at least an episode or two.
He was like
of-
the first one of all these guys to go.
Yeah, right. But he did a couple of episodes of Mick Garris's Masters of Horror show that was on Showtime, which I think
yeah, dude, that
Carpenter
show's great.
did too. Also, I
They
forgot
all
you
did at
mentioned
least
that.
one. They're
Yeah.
all in it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyone you can think of has an episode on that.
Yeah.
Or Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Toby Hooper. That's a good first pick.
Thanks.
Nice job, man.
It's a solid. I like
Yep.
that one.
Yep. Which
Something
means that
for
we're
me.
for Andrew here for back-to-back picks. So what is Andrew going to do here? You're going to take go running back. You're going to
Running
go
back,
wide
running
receiver,
back,
wide
maybe.
receiver. You're going to go QB and just go bananas.
I'm
What are you
gonna
doing?
go with the Canadian Football League.
CFL, huh? What do we got?
Cronenberg. David
Cronenberg.
Yeah,
Yep, I figured that was going to
Seems
happen.
pretty obvious. But
Thought that name
in
was gonna come
fairness,
back up.
though, I don't know if there's a director who's had, I mean, there definitely has been, but a stretch. So here's this stretch 9 years, starting in 1979. You have The Brood, obviously, talked about that earlier. You have Scanners, Videodrome, The Dead Zone, The Fly, Dead Ringers.
Banger.
Oh,
Even
my
before that, you still have
You have-
Rabid and Shivers,
Yep,
which
you
are
have
both
those two.
fucking insane too.
I haven't seen either of those.
They're good. They're
Yeah.
good, sick transmission horror.
So yeah, so that's like fucking 12 years. You get the body horror master. He writes other than The Dead Zone. Obviously, he didn't write The
Yeah.
Dead Zone, but that movie is criminally underrated. I fucking love that movie. That movie's phenomenal. Dead Ringer's underrated movie too.
You should
The
read
Fly
that
is
book,
a classic.
The Dead Zone.
The Dead Zone. Should
You'd
I
like it a lot,
Dead Zone's really good.
or listen to it, whatever you want to do. But just still, you should.
Is it? Yeah,
Stephen King's. It's
one of his best.
it's not scary, but it's an
not
extreme.
scary,
It's
yeah.
sad, but it's a very very
Seems like
good
a very
story.
depressing story.
Yeah.
I probably love it.
It's very good. I actually, when I read it, because I was just going through it just to kind of read all his books, and I was surprised at how much I really did enjoy it.
All the last 3 picks in a row, by the way, all have Stephen King adaptation.
I feel like everyone has a Stephen.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
Except for Jordan Peele.
No Jordan Peele yet.
Not yet.
Hey, I
So-
watched Jordan Peele do like the Tommy Knock or just something weird like that. That's pretty sweet.
But then also
That'd
he
be
plays Decker, the serial killer, in Nightbreed.
Nightbreed,
We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
He was
Not
He was
horror
great
movies.
in that.
Not horror movies.
How is Jordan Peele connected to Kevin Bacon?
Oh God.
Time for this.
Yeah, you put me on a spot, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Okay, think about it.
All right, I'll think about it.
You think about
It's
it, and
one of
then
the-
by the end of the show, by
Well,
the
there's
end
the
of
guy that's in Billy Madison is in Get Out, and that brings you way back. Billy Madison. He's the like no, the Weasley
Eric?
guy, Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric.
Oh right, yeah, Bradley Whitford. Yeah.
So we're trying to get him back to Kevin Bacon. Well, then he's also in. Well, then you could do Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler's in movies with a million people.
But remember, I said Adam Sandler to begin with, and you're like,
Oh, there was
oh
nobody.
yeah, no, there's
This
nobody.
is we're getting. This is going to be a long enough podcast.
Yeah.
All right,
We're gonna-
sorry. Sorry.
Cat just throwing wild cards out
Also,
there.
Well,
not
that's
necessarily
your pet
horror
peeve.
movies. A History of Violence, fucking banger. Easton Promises, banger. Crimes of the Future, pretty good. I didn't think it was that good.
I mean, Eastern Promises and History of Violence like got nominated for Academy Awards. Those
Yeah,
are
they're
considered
fucking
probably like critically
absolute
to be his
bangers.
most like
Successful.
successful movies.
Have
I
you
think.
guys-
Fly's the best.
Have you guys heard of the new movie he has coming out? Like the premise for it?
The Shrouds?
Yeah.
No.
It's supposed to be like some sort of new technology or world where when your loved ones die, you're able to watch them like decompose.
What?
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that's interesting.
Yikes.
Dude, he always comes up with such
He's a
wild
fucking
ideas.
maniac,
That's a wild
dude.
And
idea,
you know what
yeah.
the best thing about him too is now we have Brandon Cronenberg. So we get like
I
another
love
30
that
more
too,
years
yeah.
of Cronenberg.
And his daughter.
And his daughter. So we got like
Mm.
30, 40 more years of just Cronenberg.
Just a couple
movies.
more nepo babies
Just-
out there
yeah,
making
just
fucking
Canadian
horror
Yeah,
movies.
but
fucking
those movies are
weirdos.
fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
no, I
Yeah,
know.
Possessor and Infinity Pool are both
Both
absolute
amazing
bangers.
Possessor was
movies.
awesome.
There's no nepotism involved.
Have you seen Infinity Pool yet?
I haven't seen Infinity
So
Pool yet. No, I gotta
good.
check it
That's
out.
Mia
like
Goth's
that one.
best performance. I think.
I
Up there
still
with
think
it's up
Pearl.
there with Pearl,
Yeah.
but it's still really good.
But yeah, it's
She's
they're
sexy.
they're very similar characters.
Mia, oh God.
She's hot.
She is. So yeah. Anything else? Anyone want to contribute about Crony?
I mean, I think
No.
Are you a crony?
I think you summed it up pretty good. I mean, he's just.
One of the
like-
best.
I just remember being so grossed out by his movies when I was younger, but
Yeah.
they are so well done and
Special
so
effects are
good.
incredible too.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, just a master, like just master of like practical effects, and all of his stories are just always allegories for something else. Some of them are just so like the Fly is just a profoundly sad movie that just happens to
Yeah.
be disgusting
Mhm.
and ultra violent. So
So good.
yeah, good to see David Cronenberg getting the recognition that he deserves. All right,
Always should. Oh, I got another pick.
first
Yeah.
round's over. Round two, first
Well,
pick.
there's a lot of
Andrew.
different areas, ways I could go in this. This is kind of a fuck you to Kat.
Wow.
She took Jordan Peele.
Oh.
So
Whoa.
I'm going to go with maybe, depending on who you are, the best horror director of the 21st century. I mean, you got the Saw franchise. You got the
You're
Conjuring
taking James
franchise.
Bond.
You got the
Oh,
Insidious
he's on my
franchise.
list.
And you have the movie that really did it for me. So I love the first Saw movie. They're great. I could care less about the Conjuring one's great. Whatever. I don't need all the sequels. Insidious one, meh, fine, good enough movie. But Malignant, that movie fucking.
Malignant,
rocks.
that movie
I
ran.
love
Yeah.
That was the best movie he'd made since
So you get Saw and
in my opinion.
Malignant, and then you do all these other like very popular franchises. You kind of have to be in there.
Well, yeah, he was on.
And
my
also, I knew that was one of your like three
Yes.
choices
Yep.
on your list.
Yeah,
So
it was on
I intentionally picked that.
Don't snooze on Dead Silence, by the way. That
The,
movie's
puppet,
really
the
good.
Slappy the Goosebumps
Yep.
movie rated R.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my notes on James Bond? Because he's.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Want to?
Are you gonna read them, or are you just
I was
give
gonna
us-
read them.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
I won't read them.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. You can read
No,
them.
it's
I'm
all
just-
right. No.
Oh my God, we're just busting balls. That's all.
No.
Lady.
Well, you said also
Okay.
didn't.
No, what?
Oh, Death Sentence.
It's
What are
just
your
a little
thoughts?
synopsis of James Bond and like what I was gonna say.
The chap.
Then go ahead. No,
No,
please, no. I
Andrew's
insist.
pick, so Andrew gets.
So also other movie, nobody kind of panned, but Death Sentence. He did that with Kevin Bacon.
Okay, so
Are we
that's the
talking
one that we were
about
talking about. Yeah,
Kevin
Kevin
There we
Bacon.
go. Now
Oh
we
my
got to
God.
Kevin Bacon. I was like, holy
James
shit,
Bond,
I forgot
Kevin
about him.
Bacon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I actually like that. Yeah, a lot of the other movies, whatever. Not my.
I mean, a lot of people liked Aquaman, and there's a sequel coming out to that he's directing. So he also did those ones. I mean, I personally have no use for it. Yeah, Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Second week in we've had Jason
Momoa talk. That's right. Shark Week.
Remember I actually laughed out loud listening back to the episode last week when he came up for the Shark Week guy, and me and Andrew were both like, what? I remembered me and Andrew giving each other this look like,
what?
Fuck.
I was merely reporting who the host of Shark Week was. That's all I was doing.
I was like, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Could have said Bob Barker. I would have been less surprised. How much for this can of tuna?
This can of tuna.
Not anything like that.
All right, come on, give us your notes on
No, I want your notes. I want your notes.
Come on, let's go. You're on
Give
this
us
podcast.
your-
Talk now.
You were gonna do it.
No.
Come on,
No,
Kat.
I'm embarrassed.
Why?
No.
You've done way more embarrassing things in this podcast.
I want you to embarrass yourself. Do it.
No, it's okay. I'll save it.
Cool.
I'll save it for like Cats would have had draft picks in my next blog post.
Cool podcast
actually a
host
good
stuff.
blog idea.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good Lord.
Who I would have should have picked.
All right, so James Wan off the board. I had him on my board too because you know what? Say what you will about him. I mean, I would say all those franchises that he started, all clearly the best movies in the entire franchise. Saw 1 is a great movie. Saw. I'm just going to call it Saw because that's what it is. Great movie. The first Conjuring, very, very good. Insidious, I think, is a really good movie. And Malignant, I think, is by far his most interesting movie. And it's fucking crazy, insane, and weird.
Yeah,
And
someone just like
loved
let
it.
him off his leash and just let him do something fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Almost like a Giallo movie in ways.
Yeah,
Giallo.
definitely. Has the mysterious gloved
Whenever you say
dagger killer.
Whenever you say
Giallo.
Giallo, I think of Giada De Laurentiis. I don't know
Giada De
why.
Laurentiis.
Yeah.
Just the same Ja, you know.
The booby Italian.
The Ja.
There you
And
go.
it's the same Ja at the beginning.
Okay. All right. So James Wan off the board. Yeah. He's absolutely deserved at least a mention or a pick in this draft. I mean, he is probably, aside, depending on your tastes, probably one of the biggest names working in horror these days. Jordan, other than Jordan Peele and some other names that might come up later in this draft. I mean, he's got to be up there.
Yeah.
Got to be up there.
Oh, that just made me think I totally overlooked somebody. That's okay.
All right, that means we're snaking back around here, and I'm a snake, and Matt, or excuse me, wait a second. Where did we just go?
Yeah, it's Matt's turn.
It's Matt's turn. Yes, sorry, Matt.
All right, I got away with murder there. So I could pick Wes Craven, but I'm thinking because I know that the person I'm also thinking of.
You're going to.
Well, I was worried about Andrew picking, so I got away with murder right there. I would rather, if I had to keep movies and give away movies, I'd rather keep George A. Romero. So I'm going to go with George A. Romero.
Yeah,
I knew that was going to be your pick. Yeah.
See, I literally didn't have my list because
Day of the
I was
Dead.
like, Matt's going to take him. I figured
Creepshow.
Creepshow. Oh,
Creepshow.
The Crazies.
The Crazies, Season of the Witch, which is another really good 70s horror movie, early 70s. You have Martin, which is a fucking awesome movie that I know for a fact you would love.
Martin?
Yes. 1977. It's this guy that basically just thinks he's a vampire.
Sounds awesome.
It's wild. It's actually a very, very crazy character study. I did a few months ago.
Okay, yeah, it's like sounds familiar.
It's on Tubi.
Thinks he's a vampire, but he's not.
No, he just kills people with like lethal injections and then stabs them. It's fucking wild.
Sounds awesome.
But no, George A. Romero, I mean, the original 3 Dead movies are 3 of the most important movies in horror cinema history. That you have no Walking Dead without that. You have no 28 Days Later. You have no, it's just any zombie movie is fucking just doesn't. Train to Busan, gone, nothing at all. Night of the Living Dead is so fucking incredibly well done, but still at the same time so minimal and tame. Just to release Dawn of the Dead and have it be fucking balls to the wall, and then top it again with Day of the Dead. There's not a better trilogy, I think, in horror history. And he even added a few more to it, but the original 3 are.
Do you count Diary of the Dead and
Land of the Dead?
Or Land of the Dead?
Sure.
Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead. Now apparently we're getting something else.
Twilight of the Dead.
Twilight of the Dead. Yeah.
But either way, it's just like that first 3 are so good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with all 3 of those movies.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
I mean, that's a.
And then you have Creepshow. He did the amusement park movie, which is just.
I was so glad you
crazy
brought that
fever
up.
dream of a fucking.
That
movie.
is so I watched that when it came on Shudder, and it's just a very
bummer, dude.
unsettling
That's a weird, like
movie.
black and
Very
white, like
sad.
documentary kind of thing of like a amusement park that like
It's-
shuts down?
It's not
No.
black and white. It's
You're thinking of a different movie from like 2013
okay.
about the dad that like becomes obsessed with some like
Maybe I don't think
teenage
I've ever
girl.
seen it. I'm just knowing
The movie's fucked up, dude.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
terrible.
but it's at Disney World.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh, I know that movie that you're talking
I
about.
think it's just
Yes.
called something. It's something World. I think I forget.
Tomorrowland?
Tomorrowland. That actually might be what it is. Yeah, that movie's
I believe it is.
very strange and disturbing. Yeah, it's about a dad like on vacation with his family at Disney. He just becomes like obsessed with this like 14-year-old girl.
Escape from Tomorrow.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The movie's fucked. But no, yeah. So amusement park is about this old man who is basically trapped in this like loop of time where he shows up at this amusement park by himself and just like gets treated like shit and like gets the piss beaten out of him
Jesus.
over and over again.
Sounds
And like it's like a carousel of like
hard.
just like violence. Yeah. And that was like in the 70s too. He had this like crazy stretch of movies in the 70s. And even like Season of the Witch is a fucking wild movie. Which isn't obviously that's not the Halloween Season of the Witches. It's a
No,
whole
I've
different one.
seen that one. That's like
Yeah.
the weird song.
The
playing.
ladies.
It's like season of those season. It's like that weird
Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Dude, it's like she's like on a boat with like the
Yeah.
she's like some. she's
But
like-
it's like
it's a
it's
fucking
very that's
weird.
another very minimal movie, but
Yeah.
it's very entertaining. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like points that are made through dialogue with characters that I find very interesting.
Yeah.
The whole scene where he like the guy gives the placebo joint to the lady and tricks her into thinking that she's stoned and like basically calls her out for just like being a wound up old bitch. It's like it's just like it's an interesting movie. But
Yeah.
The
It's-
Crazies is obviously another one too.
Yeah, it's pretty much if I remember correctly, it's just like specifically about elder abuse, pretty much. Or it was like made to be like almost like a.
Season of the Witch.
Oh no, I'm
Or-
sorry. I'm still talking
Amusement
about
park?
amusement
Yeah,
park.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at something else. My mistake. But yeah, the Season of the Witch is a fucking crazy movie too. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, George A. Romero, man. Yeah, those original Dead movies are. I'll always say they are three of the best horror movies written and directed.
I mean, you're not wrong in that opinion.
If that was all he had done in his career, he would already be on the list. But
Yeah.
add in everything else
Yeah,
that he
that's
did
three
on
right
top
there,
of that,
three
it's
bangers.
nuts. Crazy shit. Any other thoughts on Mr. Romero? May he rest in peace.
I mean, he didn't direct the remake, but in one of his movies became one of the top. Like Hills Have
Yeah.
Eyes too.
Dawn of the Dead
Dawn of the
remake is
Dead
sick.
remake
Mhm.
is sick. That's up there as one of the best remakes.
I
I mean,
the
that's
Dawn of the Dead remake is an absolute rocket movie.
We did a
Obviously
remake
not
draft.
as
That
good
would
as the
be
first one. yeah.
a remake draft.
We have not done a remake draft. That's actually a really good idea.
I thought you hate remakes.
There's some good ones. though.
Depends on the remake.
There's so many.
There are so many. There really are. Everything's remade. All right, we moving on.
Yeah.
My turn.
It's you.
Okay, I'm gonna go away from my first pick. Obviously, was John Carpenter, so I have a very strong start to my squad here. So I'm gonna pick a big guy that is newer to the game than
I
this.
knew it.
And if you knew my
MF.
taste, if you know my tastes, this really should not come as any surprise to you. And
This
my
is my
pick here
overlook.
is gonna be Mike Flanagan, who I think has done probably one of the hardest things that people don't give him. He gets some credit, but I don't feel like he gets enough credit for truly taking two of Stephen King's more unfilmable stories and making them into awesome movies. And he did that with
Unfilmable.
I was
Gerald's
curious
Game-
if you were going
Gerald's
to mention
Game
Gerald's Game. 'cause
Gerald's
I was going
Game-
to say that was
Gerald's
an
Game for-
incredibly well done movie.
And obviously, I have stood on my soapbox and screamed for anyone who will listen how much I fucking love Dr. Sleep. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's an all-time classic of a horror movie. He did a great job with it. I know it's very different from King's book, which I still have not read, but I think those two movies alone put him in the conversation for me. But then when you throw on top of it his TV work for Netflix, which does count because he did direct all three of them. Haunting of Hill House was phenomenal. Midnight Mass was amazing. Haunting of Bly Manor, probably the weakest of the three. Still pretty good. He also directed Hush and Oculus, which I don't think are as good as his other movies, but they're still pretty solid.
I
the
like
one with
Hush.
the deaf.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really good movie.
That was
Hush
like
is
one of
good.
his first like
I like
breakout movies, I think.
Yeah, Hush. Oculus came out first, but I don't actually like that one as much as I like
meh.
Hush.
It's not
Oculus is
bad.
okay.
It's not bad, but it's not
Is that the one with the
mirror.
Yeah, the Mirror one.
Mirror.
Is that a remake of a Japanese movie?
Probably.
I'm not sure. I don't know. It's a good question. I know a lot of people kind of accuse him being like too much in like the I've always heard the host of the Colors of the Dark podcast that Matt and I always listen to referred to his work as hug me horror, they call it, because it's also very emotional, and I can see it being a criticism that if you like bleaker, dark movies, a lot of his stuff has a very like uplifting, good feel.
Well, I've never watched any of his shows.
So they're dark. They're very dark. Dude, Midnight Mass is some dark shit, but they ultimately all end on like a positive note, I would say. But I think that he is not a rising talent, an emerged talent. Two of the biggest missed opportunities, and I think he might still have his hands in a Dark Tower series for Amazon Prime. He might still be working on that. But I almost
I heard he has a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, see, that would be awesome too. That would be awesome too. I would like to see him go like full hardcore, like crazy horror, which I feel like it's very different style from something like, you know, some of the directors that we just talked about.
Is he married to the girl from Gerald's Game?
He's married to the girl that was in Hush.
Oh, they kind of look alike.
Yeah, they do look alike a little bit. And also, I almost punched a hole in my wall when I had read that he was in talks to direct another Stephen King adaptation, Revival, which, again, I know I told you how much I loved it. He was going to direct that movie, and that got shut down, which is a fucking awesome Stephen King book that nobody talks about. And he would have been perfect for it. It's fucking weird and scary and great. So I hope that does happen someday. I don't think he'll be at the helming that particular one, but dude, I'm not even a big Dark Tower guy, Matt. I know you are, and Sarah is. I would love to see what he would do with the Dark Tower.
Yeah, she'd be stoked on that.
Yeah.
She's read that like 3 times.
Okay, so it was her. I thought you were too, but I remember you telling me that she was big into it. I'm sure
and the graphic novels.
Yeah, shit.
I'm sure Flanagan was probably on your radar too, Andrew, right?
He was pretty much, but I've never seen any of his shows, so it's like it's only 2 to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't draft it.
Start with Hill House.
Yeah.
Hill House.
You guys talk about the shows, and I'm like, these kind of seem like they're gonna make me fall asleep, but they're good.
It's just hard because they're just like, it's so much fucking 10 hours of content.
Haunting of Hill House is I think
the best one out of
that's
all
the
of
best
them?
one of the 3.
Bly Manor one, but
Midnight Mass is ultimately gets to a very good horror place, but it's a lot about growing up Catholic and alcoholism and like dark shit.
Very much a Stephen King.
And honestly, Midnight Mass feels like a cousin to Storm of the Century.
Oh.
So you, Andrew, might actually like it.
I like that one more.
It's very, very heavy-handed on the Catholic, imagery and there's a lot of stuff in church, a lot of masses, but the acting in it is phenomenal. But I would say if you want to dip your toe in Mike Flanagan TV stuff, start with Hill House. Hill House is phenomenal. Bly Manor, I didn't like as much. Oh, and he directed The Midnight Club, his most recent show, which was about the kids cat that we watched. That it was the kids that were telling scary stories to each other, and they all had cancer, and they were in that like weird hospital that was the house. You definitely watched it with me. That was his dud. That show sucked. I did not like it at all.
I don't remember it. I probably just erased it.
Yeah, you probably you didn't. I don't think you liked it very much either. But it was not. It was not great.
Idea
not
for
great.
the Hot Wheels movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. So Mike Flanagan off the board, which means that we're to Kat for 2 in a row here.
So I'm taking Wes Craven since no one else is taking him right now.
I feel like we left that one for you.
Kind of.
There you go.
You guys could have taken.
You keep talking.
Well, I explained that I had.
No, we could have taken
my
him.
reasoning.
I took James.
If you didn't take him this round, I was taking.
Well,
him.
absolutely, yeah. Well, since everyone has passed on this guy so far, since they're trying to screw everyone else over, I'm going to pick Wes Craven.
Solid pick.
Yes.
Solid pick. Very solid pick. I mean, I can't believe he's lasted this long.
Still around. Yeah. I mean, duh. I'm like preparing for. I think I'm glad that we did a draft because it's preparing for fantasy football as well.
There you go.
It's getting me like really psyched about it.
That's also kind of why I was itching to do a draft too.
Yeah. So my top 3 for Wes Craven: Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Hills Have Eyes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, solid. Absolutely.
Yes.
You can even stop there, and that's still all like right. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did a million other movies. But he unfortunately passed away in 2015. Mm-hmm. He was great at balancing like the art of telling a scary story, and then also like keeping it funny, and then
Oh, for
also
sure.
keeping it full of gore and like full of content, like full of just like emotions at the same time. So actually, I was reading an article and I took a quote from there. I forget to quote. It was I was looking at this earlier online,
That's
but
okay.
they wrote, with his witty and sarcastic dream demon Freddy Krueger and his horror movie obsessed slasher Ghostface, he proved time and time again that there could be a happy union between terror and laughs.
That's
So-
definitely true.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I could watch his movies over and over again. They're those movies that like you just see on at any point in time and you're like, yes, yep. Like
Even the
Twister,
Last House on the Left.
I don't think I've seen that.
That's a very different movie than any of those other.
I
movies.
actually-
That and Hills Have Eyes are
Last
very
House on the
different.
Left is
Yeah, Hills Have Eyes is very,
Hills
very
Have Eyes is very
in the
dark.
similar vein.
But you know what?
as
Like
Last House on the
I
Left.
remember being in college with Jen, and like I'd fall asleep to like Saw, Hostel, Hills Have Eyes, like all the time. We just like throw it on and be like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed. We'll start watching it, like have a beer, and be like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm falling asleep to like these horrendous movies.
Which you could never do now.
No.
Nope,
Well, I don't like
definitely not.
even having the TV on anymore.
I know. I understand. Believe
Not
me.
even like the sound of like a chainsaw or like a hacksaw or people screaming. Like,
What was
forget
that?
it.
What was that?
I love sleeping with the TV on because it gives me fucked up dreams.
I
It's so much
always-
fun.
Well,
Yeah.
that too, yeah.
It's the best. I love having the.
I always have Seinfeld on.
Yeah.
I just run it
Seinfeld.
through a loop.
There you go.
Seinfeld and
Yeah.
South Park. And eventually I get to the Seinfeld episode with a beeping watch. And it wakes me up and it drives me fucking insane. Sarah's like, what is that? I'm like, that's fucking that's I gotta fast
Steinfeld.
forward
Don't
through.
worry about it.
Slime Field.
Or the one where,
Slime.
or the meat slicer one where Elaine's power, she can't turn off
Yeah,
the
yeah,
alarm
yeah.
next door. And
It's
Cat-
that
catch
and
me out.
the South Park episode with the wood shop teacher when his wife like crashes the plane and she dies and but still somehow like drowns in a pool.
Yes. Yes.
Richard! And then it always wakes me up. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Maybe I'll switch over to South Park. I haven't watched South
South
Park
Park's
in a
good.
while. It's
Yeah.
best. It's so
I think
good.
it's a
Oh, yeah.
fine line with the volume. It'll be in like between like 9 and
Well,
14.
if I have control, I put it on like 8.
Yeah, if you're falling
Sarah
asleep,
puts it on like 22.
Well, you put it
And I'm
on
like,
8.
how the fuck are you sleeping?
Put it on 8 with subtitles because if
Yeah.
you really want to watch it,
Yeah.
sit up and watch it,
Right.
Or just
Yep.
barely hear it, and then your dreams are like, "The fuck, son, Kramer? What are you doing in my
Yeah,
house?
right.
Get the fuck out of here."
Kat, I think you bring up a very good point about the fact that Craven did a really good job blending horror and comedy and was still able to make stuff that was scary. I think
Yeah.
it's a huge thing. Obviously, without movies like Scream, you don't have any of the, quote unquote, meta horror that's been become so popular in the last decade, I would say. Without Scream, there's no Cabin in the Woods. That's
No.
one of my favorite horror movies of
Yeah.
all time. Like, you don't get a lot of the other stuff that's out there now. And then I also think Wishmaster, have to mention that one. That's a crazy fucking movie that
I
Wes
love
Craven
that movie.
directed.
Serpent in the Rainbow.
Serpent in the Rainbow. That's another one that people snooze on. But I was actually going to say, so Cillian Murphy has been in the news a lot lately
Red Eye.
because of Oppenheimer. But dude, Red Eye,
Mhm.
I mean, it's horror because it's Wes Craven. Very much a violent thriller, but that's a really good movie with Cillian Murphy and Rachel
Deadly Friend,
McAdams,
dude.
Brian Cox. Yeah,
Deadly Friend has that great scene where the girl kills the old lady with a basketball, blows
Oh,
her head up.
Jesus, I forgot about
Yeah,
that
like
one.
the AI.
Yeah. And I feel like there's probably even movies in Wes Craven's filmography that we're not even mentioning.
Shocker.
Here. Yeah,
He's got a lot.
yeah. Craven's a great pick, Kat. Nice job.
Now you're pick.
Now you pick
Correct.
again. Yeah. So what's it going to
So-
be for the first pick of round 3?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Guillermo del Toro.
I
Ah.
could have, I saw that.
I had a
Yeah.
feeling that Del Toro might get picked at some point by
Yeah.
somebody named Kat.
So I love Pan's Labyrinth, obviously. I really like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Counter Curiosities, Eated Antlers.
Yeah.
The Hobbit movies. What? Are you pissed?
No, I'm mad at him.
Oh,
Not mad.
sorry.
You're right.
Never mind. Recently did that Pinocchio movie that I'm still kind of. I
No,
Actually, I liked
need
it.
to see it again.
I haven't
I
seen
don't.
it.
Maybe I need to go into it knowing what it was because I feel like
Yeah.
I was going into it with a different expectation.
Yeah, it was
But-
good. It was definitely a dark Del Toro take on Pinocchio. The animation was very cool. I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
sweet.
Alliteration right there. Dark Del Toro.
Dark Del Toro take,
Like that.
baby.
Yeah. So he's just this dark, kind of creepy, crazy, weird, like
It's a pick that's so far up your
Mindset
alley. It's
that-
not even
yeah.
funny because he does the dark fantasy
Devil's
stuff
Backbone.
that
Yes.
you love.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say, and I know a lot of the stuff you mentioned, like, so technically, I know we were going to talk about it anyway, but like he produced a lot of that stuff, like Cabinet of Curiosities, that's his. But I know Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, he produced. But I mean, you're not even like, dude, Nightmare Alley, Shape of Water,
Inglourious
Crimson
Bastards.
Peak. He wasn't involved in Inglourious
Yeah, he
Bastards.
did, didn't he?
No,
Oh, that's
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
Close.
Wrong guy.
Same
Close.
guy.
Yeah,
Close.
you just said Devil's Backbone, Mimic.
Yeah,
Come on.
Chronos.
Mimic is awesome. I
Yeah,
love that.
really, really good
Chronos
stuff.
is another really good take
And
on a
also-
vampire story.
He did the Hellboy movies. He did Blade 2.
Yeah.
Those are very horror superhero movies in the Del Toro style.
Mhm.
And I know we've covered Pan's Labyrinth on this podcast, and I think that you can definitely argue that that is a horror movie. There are certainly horrific parts.
Pale Man.
Devil's Backbone is definitely one of the creepier
That's a-
ghost
yeah.
stories I've seen.
I don't think I've seen that one.
He also
Very good.
produced that movie Mama.
Oh, right, yeah.
Really good. So yeah, and he produced Antlers. So he's had his hands in a lot of shit, a lot of really good horror stuff. So
It's a good pick.
absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely,
I got a
good
pretty
pick.
stacked team.
Yeah,
to be
and-
true.
Yeah, I mean, Wes Craven
and
at
I
the end of the
forgot-
second round is pretty good.
He's supposed to be working on a Frankenstein movie.
We talked about that.
With Oscar Isaac and Michael Fassbender, I believe.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
sure that'll be
How many
a
fucking
banger.
Frankenstein movies are they going to do?
Frankenstein. All right, so Kat with back-to-back picks, picking Wes Craven and Guillermo del Toro. Say that.
Guillermo
Guillermo. Also, one of the weirdest things he's ever done is his cameo as Pappy McPoyle, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Did you know that
Oh,
was him?
Yeah,
That
I
was
didn't
him?
even.
Yeah,
think
dude.
about
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and the Reynolds
The
versus
bird
Ponderosa,
under his head, right?
the trial of the Senate, the bird law episode.
Yes.
When Pappy McPoyle goes up on the stand, that
That's
is
his eye?
Guillermo del Toro.
It's
Yes.
like, what do you have
He has the
underneath
bird
your
under his
Yes.
hat.
Like a
Yep.
bird nest on his
Yes,
head.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so good.
Yes.
That is Guillermo del Toro cameoing, and It's
Guillermo
Always Sunny in,
Guillermo.
in Philadelphia.
Fantastic actor.
That's
Yeah.
got to be a Danny DeVito.
Has to
Connect.
be, right?
Oh,
I would think
absolutely.
so. All right.
That makes perfect
He's gonna know
sense.
everybody.
Anyone
Like,
else? Anyone else want to chime in on Del Toro, or should we keep rolling? No?
Keep rolling.
Cover the bases.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna go. I can go a couple different ways here, but I think a couple of these guys could come back to me on the way back for my last pick. So I'm gonna go here with a guy that I think is criminally underrated for his work in the horror genre. He has a couple movies on here that are two of my favorites. The big debate at the beginning of the 80s was An American Werewolf in London versus The Howling. And while I think that they are both great films, I think The Howling is a little bit scarier for me, and I think American Werewolf is a little bit better of a movie. But with that being said, I'm picking Joe Dante here.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You threw me for a loop there, dude. I didn't know where you were
I
going.
think
with
going
that one.
Landis. I was like,
No,
Landis.
no, I don't see. I don't think Landis has enough horror in his filmography. He has American Werewolf, and I don't really know of anything else besides that.
Schlock and the Twilight Zone. movie.
Twilight Zone.
Schlock. Twilight Zone movie's great, except
so
for he made a
That
big
kid that he
blunder.
killed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, he
Except for
killed
that
that
guy.
kid in that, and
Guy.
Vic Morrow, and Joe Dante also directed a segment, the Twilight Zone movie. He directed the It's a Good Life remake with the crazy bunny rabbit that gets pulled out of the hat.
Oh
He
yeah,
also directed Gremlins.
Gremlins, he did Gremlins, which is
that's
another
actually
one of my favorite movies.
favorite parts of the Twilight Zone.
Movie
One is that
that
like the weird house. That
yeah,
they go
that
into,
segment
the
I think
cartoon
might be
one.
my favorite
It's
one.
The creepiest.
Yeah.
one.
So he did that. He did The Howling, obviously, I already mentioned that. He did Gremlins and Gremlins 2, The New Batch. He
Piranha.
did Piranha, which is obviously a Jaws knockoff. But when I watched that Sharksploitation documentary on Shudder last week, he was talking about that. And he was like, I made Piranha knowing completely that we were ripping off Jaws. And I just kind of riffed on that and made it funny and scary. And there was a lot of nudity and violence. And the studio was happy with it. So I was happy with it.
Fair enough.
He also directed, not necessarily quite horror, but you guys ever seen Matinee? Movie with John Goodman, and it's about John Goodman as a director, like directing a 50s B horror sci-fi movie about a giant ant alien invasion.
Sounds like I've seen that.
Really good movie, but it's obviously about his love for like 50s B movies, sci-fi monster movies that he grew up on as a kid. And he also directed The Burbs with Tom Hanks, which I know it's a movie that you
Fucking
really
awesome.
like.
movie.
So
I love that movie.
dude, Dante has a pretty good filmography, and I feel like a lot of people don't consider him to be like in the upper echelon of classic horror directors. And I feel like he at least deserves a mention,
Oh yeah.
which is why I wanted to throw him out there as one of my picks. Because I think
Sweet.
he's a great
Glad
director.
that he got talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
Fully
Yeah,
deserved
yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
forgot about The Burbs. That's a criminally underrated
Yeah.
horror comedy.
Yeah, almost in the vein of like Beetlejuice type thing, almost a little bit.
It's a lot different, and it's not like as goofy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
fucking goofy. It's more my type of horror comedy.
Yeah, I know you really like that movie a lot. That's
You need
I
to
think
watch
that's
it. You've
still
never
on
seen that?
that's still on Netflix.
The
Right?
Burbs?
Burbs.
Oh, yeah, that movie's fucking awesome. I love that movie.
Really good.
Bruce Dern's phenomenal.
Fuck, I love Bruce Stern.
Bruce Stern's good and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great actor.
Also, side note, one of the characters in The Burbs, it's like the old dad, creepy guy. He's the voice of Gollum from The Hobbit, the cartoon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
See that?
The Rankin Bass Hobbit. Yeah, that's right.
That's one of the best Gollums ever.
Yeah.
So creepy.
Excellent.
I missed that one.
You haven't seen that?
No,
I gotta watch
I'm not a
the
big Lord of the
cartoon.
Rings guy.
No, but it's
I'm
such a
admittedly
weird,
not
like
either, but-
late 70s cartoon.
Oh,
It's well worth. It's only like an hour.
like Watershed Down.
It's
Less depressing.
yeah, not as depressing, just weird.
Is that what it's called? Watershed? Or is it Waterhouse Down? The one with the rabbits?
Yeah, that's water
Oh, that's
shit.
right.
Water
Yeah,
house.
jeez, I forgot about that one. That's a fucking
Devastating fucking movie.
dude. Kids animated movies in the 80s and 70s and 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Fucked up. Yeah. But Joe Dante off the bizzard to my team.
All dogs go to heaven. Fuck.
All dogs go to heaven.
Oh,
is
that
so
was such a
fucking
terrible
yes.
movie.
Dude,
horror.
Cat had The Land Before Time on for Bridget a couple weeks ago, and it was very dusty in my living
I heard you
room.
cried,
Not
yeah.
quite sure what
Yes.
In
happened.
fairness, nothing wrong with that.
No, it's a very sad movie, I think.
Dude,
But
Brave Little Toaster. That's
Oh,
a
I
horror
love
movie.
fucked
that
up
movie.
movie.
That's a horror.
Dude, Phil Hartman as the air conditioner, like just wild. Wild.
John
movie.
Lovitz is the radio.
John Lovitz as the radio. Yep, very good. All right, that means we're back to Matthew for his third pick. Matt, who's it going to be in the third round, my friend?
Well, I'm going to have to get weird with it.
All right.
Yeah. How weird are we getting?
I'm going to go with Dario Argento.
I could have seen that.
So there were a couple directions I thought you could have gone there.
I mean, he's the godfather, arguably, of the giallo subgenre. Obviously, I'm a fan.
Yep.
The Bird with the Crystal Plume. I mean, dude, like these are just amongst so many, but I'm just going to name a few. He has The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Cat of Nine Tails, Deep Red, Tenebrae. Like those are like, in my opinion, the top 4 best stories. But there's so many of them. There's so many that are made by other directors that are so good. I talked about Torso earlier.
Mhm.
You still have like your Mario Bava and your fucking I'm blanking
Fulci?
on whatever. Fulci, thank
Yep,
you. Yeah.
yep.
We also did Suspiria.
I was going to say,
And,
I thought you were going to bring that up towards the end. I was like, I'm sure you're gonna bring
Suspiria, I think,
up.
is his most like kind of like I would call it his like most mainstream movie.
Yep.
You have Opera, you have Phenomenon, which is actually like a very interesting movie. I think that you would like.
Okay.
Jennifer Connelly plays a girl that has a telepathic connection with bugs,
You had me there.
and she's able to solve a murder because of it.
How old
Bugs
is
and
Jennifer
Jennifer
Connelly?
It's
Connelly.
like 14.
Yeah, never
Relax.
mind. Yeah, so I don't
Nope.
watch that.
Bugs.
But it's a good movie. But Tenebrae, Deep Red, and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage are absolute masterpiece movies. These are fucking incredibly well written, like murder mystery, super gory, and just they nail it. Like he has such a fascinating whole filmography, and I think he's an incredibly the color of everything that he does. Suspiria really sticks out because you get a lot of fluorescent
Very
kind of color in his
colorful film.
movie.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's really one of his obviously supernatural movies that are insane. There's Inferno, and then there's one more off the top of my head I can't think of that kind of does this like trilogy thing. But Dario Argento definitely for sure is one of the most renowned, especially Italian directors. Watch Giallo movies. They're fucking great.
I feel like that's
Get over the dub and just fucking you just gotta
Can
get
you break
through it.
about the writer? He's like
Tenebrae is there are a lot of them are
like
about
the woman's
writers.
from like Colorado or something. No, that's
It's like an Italian Stephen King story.
Tenebrae has
he's like a writer from the United States in like Italy or something. And
I
like, he's
can't-
like a
hold on.
stalker or something. Some people getting murdered around him, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. He's got
Well,
famous
they
writer.
think that they're
Or is that
basing
Red- is
they're
that,
basing the murders off
is
of
that
his
Dead Red off his book.
Yeah. So it has John Saxon in that one. That's the dad from A Nightmare on Elm Street
Mm.
That's
of
right.
Nancy.
That's right. I like him.
Yeah, no, he does a very good job. But yeah, so they like think that like they're basing the murders off of his story. So they obviously are suspecting him of being
The murderer.
the murderer.
It's almost like the Edgar Allan Poe one with fucking John Cusack.
1408.
The Raven.
Oh, the Raven.
Raven,
Yeah.
But Dario
Way
Argento is
better.
just they're such well-made movies. And like I said, like you have to kind of get over the fact anytime you watch those Italian movies from the 70s and 80s, they're dubbed. It looks funky.
Yeah.
The expression of the voice doesn't match the expression of the action. If you can just fucking get over it and just accept that that's just kind of part of what makes a giallo movie.
But you can watch those in subtitles, right?
You can.
On mute.
I mean, I wouldn't put it on mute.
No,
but
yeah, that's terrible.
they also have cool soundtracks too. They're
I
very
wouldn't be able
like
to watch-
heavy, like
that's what
drum
makes those
soundtracks.
movies, yeah.
It's very strange. But the story itself, like the driving plot, are always very, very good. There's always a good mystery. You're brought along for a good ride.
Not wrong.
So,
They're very unique. They're very different.
Yeah.
They're interesting.
so
Yeah, I'd say he's probably on the Mount Rushmore of Italian horror directors. Probably
100%.
the
Him.
first name listed there.
yeah,
him,
Lucio
Fulci,
Mario
Bava,
Bava.
Ruggiero Diodato. What else did he do besides like Cannibal Holocaust? He might have done a couple of other things.
A few things, but I mean,
yeah.
you still have like Lamberto Bava.
Yeah, that's right.
And, like,
Yep, another Bava.
There's
Lots
a
of Bavas.
shit ton, dude. Yeah,
Mario Bava?
Sergio.
Mario Bava.
Yeah. Sergio Martino, who I talked about torso earlier.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, dude, you always bang the giallo drum for sure. I feel like you have
Oh, dude,
that.
I have the all 5 so
Yeah.
far released of the Arrow or 4.
Yeah.
5? I don't know. of
Six?
the
Four?
of the Giallo essential box sets. So
That's sick.
Yeah.
Nice
Three
little
movies.
Yeah,
collection.
and then you bring up a good point, man. People, sometimes you just need to expand your horizons a little bit. Like, just try something new. Throw on the subtitles, get over the dubs, and just,
Get over the dub.
expand
Yes.
your mind.
enjoy a good murder mystery with good gore and just absolutely gorgeous
Italian
naked
babes.
Italian women. Yeah, true,
Very good. True, true.
true.
All right, cool. So, what was this going to say? Completely just lost my train of thought. Dario Argento off the board. Wow. When Mike's brain function fails.
I said naked Italian women.
Yes,
right
I was like, what? All right,
That threw me
Dario
off. I was like,
Argento
oops.
to Matthew, which means I think we're going to try and shoot for 4 picks here.
We can shoot for 4.
So that means that Andrew is going to make the first of his final 2 picks right now.
Didn't they give me 5? Or did I only get 2? So
we're gonna
2 and 2.
oh, I've still only had 2. It's
I
been
have
that
you down
long.
for
wow.
Cronenberg and Juan, right? You don't have anybody else other than that? No.
Cronenberg and Juan. So I'm going to go with Don Coscarelli.
I knew it was coming.
Yes. Why not? Because I got another pick after this.
right.
You may know him from such famous world-renowned movies as Phantasm,
That's correct.
Bubba Hotep.
Oh, I forgot
And,
about Bubba
um,
Hotep.
One of my personally favorite movies that I love that I feel like it's underrated is John Dies at the End. Love that movie.
I forgot that he did that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
It's a very good movie. He's done other stuff like every other Phantasm movie. Well,
Like every other Phantasm
I feel like
movie.
I've seen the second one. The other ones I've seen like parts of, and they're.
Mhm.
I mean, the second one's not bad. But
Beastmaster.
But if Phantasm is one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, I think, love it or hate it, it's up there, right?
I mean,
Maybe,
to
yeah.
I love
you.
Phantasm.
For you,
Yeah.
certainly.
For me,
yeah.
I think it's up there. I think it should be in the top 20 most
Top 50
important,
maybe?
most important horror movies
Important. Why is it important?
because it's fucking weird, and you get the tall man with Angus Scrim. The movie's fucking great.
Okay.
It's so fucking
know,
bizarre. It's
everyone
like
can title it
dream
different.
horror, like kind of, if that's a thing.
Dream horror.
I don't know. I made it up.
It does feel like a nightmare. Most like watching that.
It is a
movie.
nightmare.
Yeah,
the whole movie's
yeah,
a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's fucking dream horror. It's right up there with Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tall Man, obviously an iconic horror villain. I think for sure. As much shit as we give you about your obsession with the Phantasm movies, scary character. Phantasm is a very good movie. Absolutely, all-time jump scare at the with that dream sequence. with the
Oh
kid.
yeah, it just comes crashing through the fucking mirror over there.
Some crazy imagery with the flying spike balls and lots of gore.
It's a
Good
very
stuff.
unique movie. The plot's out of control. No one knows what the fuck's happening,
Out of
but it's a
control.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Bubba Hotep's underrated. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen that. It's like
I've seen
guy-
Bubba. I've seen Bubba
yeah.
Hotep. That's a strange
he's at, like
movie.
a nursing home. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Bruce Campbell, awesome.
I'm gonna write that on my watch list just because it sounds fun.
Bubba Hotep, check it
Yeah.
out.
It's really
It's
good.
like Cocoon mixed with like fucking I don't know something else.
So,
some wild movie.
Coscarelli also has a cameo in one of my, I think, favorite underrated goofy monster movies that came out in the last like 10 or 12 years. He has a cameo in Digging Up the Marrow. Any of you guys ever see that movie before?
No,
It's directed
No.
by Adam Green, who's a Massachusetts guy. It's a fucking crazy movie. Ray Wise is like the main character in it. It's very, very good. But he's in that. He appears as himself in Digging Up the Marrow. Other than that, though, I have to say I'm not as well versed in Don Coscarelli's filmography as I probably should be.
It's a lot of
as a
Phantasm.
student.
Yeah,
of horror.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I pretty much listed everything worth watching.
Yeah. Okay. Beastmaster. I just looked at. I've definitely heard of and or seen. I know that was a movie that he did in the 80s as well. So
I would never want to watch that movie.
Coscarelli off the
Coscarelli
board.
off the
Donald.
board.
See ya. Member of Team Andrew. All right, Andrew. Who you closing it out with, buddy?
Well, I think I have to go with. I was considering. So I was on the board. I was on the fence with Alice Garland, but he doesn't count because he didn't direct 28 Days Later. He wrote it.
Yeah.
And then so he has Men, and then what the fuck's it?
Annihilation.
Annihilation. So that's only 2 that he directed.
Oh, see, I mean, I know we're drafting directors here.
Should count.
I feel like the
but he
fact that you
doesn't.
wrote 28 Days Later, that should count for something. I mean, I'm not gonna rake you over the coals if you pick him. I mean,
no, I'm just gonna go with Sam Raimi.
how did he not get mentioned yet? I feel like he
Yeah.
had to have been in contention for Matt here at the end.
I mean, I feel like you were gonna go there next.
Yeah.
I have a backup.
I mean, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Dark
Evil
Man,
Dead 2.
fantastic. Dragon to Hell, underrated. I didn't realize he did A Simple Plan. I love
Simple
that
Plan is
one.
a great movie.
It's a phenomenal movie. The Spider-Man movies are all very good.
Yeah.
The Quick and the Dead. I didn't know he did that movie. It's a fantastic movie.
Dude, Raimi's got a deep filmography. Darkman, Andrew. we talked about that.
Darkman, fantastic
Yep.
movie. Yeah, I mean, how can you not pick? Like, talk about a loaded fucking
Yeah. I mean,
list.
he directed technically the only Marvel Cinematic Universe quote unquote horror film, which was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He directed
I never
that.
saw that. Was that?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. It was one of the few Marvel movies that came out that I was like, well, they're saying it's kind of a horror movie. It's directed by Sam
And it
Raimi.
wasn't.
I'll check it out. And it was all right. It definitely, there's definitely his fingerprints are on it for sure. There's a lot of like those like quick, like Evil Dead, like snap zoom from like 50 yards away. And like, there's almost like the Evil Dead, like swooping steady cam shots. Like it's, you can tell that he had his hands in it, but it's a Marvel movie. It's a Doctor Strange movie. It's like, all right.
For Love of the Game, how did I miss that one?
Oh yeah, that's
That
good.
movie
That's
with
a
Costner,
great baseball movie. Yeah, with Costner.
Dude, he's all over the place with these movies.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, can you go wrong?
No, I mean he's obviously.
I think Drag Me to Hell is his most underrated movie.
That's a very good movie.
That
Yeah.
was fucking awesome. Yeah.
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. I was gonna pick Darren Aronofsky, but
I think Raimi's probably the better pick there,
Yeah.
but dude, there's still some big names out there right now, which means
That's up.
that Matt is up for his final pick.
Yep. I'm going to go with Stuart Gordon.
Oh, okay. Another guy that definitely deserves to be mentioned in this conversation.
So
I'm
I
glad he's
get
brought up.
Reanimator, From Beyond,
Awesome.
Dolls, Castle Freak, a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stuff.
Yep.
But
Talking my language.
Reanimator is, in my opinion, top 3 when you refer to 80s horror. It is one of the absolute best.
Yeah.
Another just perfect horror movie. It's got laughs. It's got fucking crazy gore and effects. And just the story is just, it's fucking awesome.
I love Reanimator.
All the sequels are good for
So
the most part.
behind the scenes stuff, I know that we were up when we did Maniac a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Your pick was either going to be between Maniac and
And
Reanimator, and we voted on it. And I voted for Reanimator, and you guys all voted for Maniac. And I was like, oh, we definitely going to talk about Reanimator
Oh, yeah.
sometime soon. I'd love
Movie
to.
is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's great.
Yeah.
Very good.
From Beyond is
From
also
Beyond's
another really good one.
fantastic,
Almost, I mean, it's still got what's his name, Jeffrey Combs
yeah.
and Barbara Crampton
Barbara Crampton.
in that as well. Kind of roles reversed in terms of villain and damsel in distress, I guess you'd say.
Mhm.
And you get Ken Foree in that one as well. Castle Freak is another really good
It's a weird
underrated
movie,
90s horror movie. Crazy monster kind of deal. But that's another kind of just like off the wall fun one. And
That's
then
definitely
Dolls is the scariest doll.
I don't know
movie,
if I've ever
I
seen
think.
I don't think I have.
Dolls.
It's up there between Dolly Dearest, Child's
Like
Play,
a
and,
doll's eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
like
Like a
doll's
doll's
eyes.
ass.
A dog's eyes.
It's definitely a creepy one. Yeah, I mean Stuart Gordon again, like I said, he just I think hit out of the park between just Reanimator From Beyond alone. But then Castle Freak's just another fun little fucking shit.
That's on Shudder. I think that's on Shudder.
Tubi, all over
something,
everything. Yeah.
And another guy that passed away recently too. Unfortunately,
They're all fucking almost everyone we've talked about so far is dead.
Yeah. All my squad's still alive. All three of them.
Dario Argento's alive.
That's right. Oh yeah, Argento's still alive. He's still kicking.
So is Jordan Peele.
So is
Cronenberg's still alive.
I know Jordan Peele's still alive. Yes, Cronenberg's still alive.
George A. Romero.
And so is Guillermo del Toro.
Yes, of course. But you're picking a younger guy.
I picked Wes Craven. He's dead.
He's dead.
He did. Yes, he did.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah. So Stuart Gordon's a good pick.
James
Glad we
Wan's still
brought him up. Yeah,
alive.
James
Right,
Wan's
yeah.
alive. Yeah. All these guys
I mean,
are still alive.
They're all dead.
Okay, so that
Moving
means that
on.
Matt's team is finished out, rounded
Solid
out, I
squad.
should say, with Stuart Gordon. So I'm going to, I have a couple different directions that I could go here.
Well, you only got one left, right?
I know, which is why I'm talking out loud to myself, which is how I actually do it when I'm at fantasy football drafts. Is I usually either talk to myself or think through this in my head like a psychopath. I'm going to go with another new director. So I'll have two classic horror directors and two new ones. Love this guy's filmography. And when I list it off for you, you guys are not going to be surprised at all. And that is David Bruckner, who I really, really like a lot. So he started off his career with a movie called The Signal, which I know a lot of people probably have not seen. Very good movie, worth checking out. Then after that, listen to these movies one after another. VHS, Southbound, The Ritual, The Night House,
Wow.
and the Hellraiser remake that just came out last year on Hulu. And in addition to that, he's also directing at least a portion of the upcoming VHS 85 sequel that's coming out at the end of this year. So I think for me, VHS, The Ritual, and Southbound put him in the conversation for me. Those are three of my most favorite modern horror movies of the last
Can you
like,
just do
15 years.
one segment of those though?
So he did one segment of VHS, and I think he was the overall director for Southbound.
Okay, overall
I
director,
think.
that counts.
I think.
One segment, that's kind of like doing one episode of television.
Maybe. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I'll stand corrected, and I'm bending my own rules here. I know a lot of people really liked The Night House a lot. I personally,
But that's a horror movie, right?
It's a horror movie, yeah.
Then we're good. There's just three horror movies.
Yep.
So
I
you gotta-
personally did
nail it.
not care for it, but I actually really did.
Interesting.
I really did like the Hellraiser reboot,
I did too.
requel,
I never saw
whatever,
The
whatever
Night
you want to
House.
call it.
I know.
I've watched it once. I do want to give that another watch because I think they're probably making more sequels to it. But I thought it was a pretty good, updated, modern take on Hellraiser.
Just everyone in that movie, like, I don't think there was one character that you like root for.
Right.
They
So
all
yeah,
suck.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. So that, I
And I
mean,
feel
it was
like
easy
that's
for them all
I
to get
feel like
ripped
that's
apart.
Yeah.
in general though how you should think about it.
Yeah.
Most people suck.
Well, I mean, Christy in the original.
Most people
She was cool.
suck.
But yeah, I mean, Ritual. Obviously, I professed my love for that movie on several occasions, and yeah, I think he's another one of these up and coming names that might not have as much cachet as somebody like Jordan Peele or Ari Aster or whoever else might come up next. I'm not going to state too many names right now, but
Ty
David
West.
Bruckner.
Yep,
I'd say he's still out there. But yeah, David Bruckner is a
There's
name
only
that
one pick
needs to be on your radar. So David Bruckner on Mike's
It's a
squad.
solid. That's a solid one. I mean, Southbound's
Yeah.
the fucking best. That's my favorite anthology ever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Creepshow, fantastic, but Southbound just hits me in a place that's
definitely a you movie.
yeah, it's 100% a me movie.
Yeah.
Which is why I love it.
Yeah. So that means my team's done, and that means Andrew.
I'm done.
Sorry, Andrew's done. That means Kat
It's my
is
pick, my
one
last
last
pick, right?
pick. It is.
I'm gonna go with. Can I do M. Night Shyamalan and
Yeah,
Shyamalan Ding Dong.
It's a good pick.
You certainly can. I mean, I would consider him a horror
I
director.
feel like right. I mean, he not just horror, but
Absolutely
he does a lot
counts.
of horror.
Mostly
Not everybody
Okay.
knows
Mostly
that's
horror.
Most of it's horror.
Actually, I was thinking.
I could probably name at least 5 horror movies.
I mean, The
Yeah.
Happening's terrible, but that's a horror.
Horror movie. Yeah.
Terrible.
it was funny because Andrew was outside, like we were talking about what my picks could potentially be, and you mentioned Tim Burton, and I was like, ooh.
Can't believe that you didn't pick
I
him.
figured it was a
honestly.
Tim
I
Cat
I
pick
can't
all
believe
day.
you didn't pick Clive Barker.
thought about it, but if you look at it's not the best.
No.
There's some big names still out there that did not get picked, so we
Yeah.
can talk about those after. But yeah,
Right.
so what about Shyamalan?
No, I've always liked his movies for the most part. Everyone that I've
I
seen,
love most of his movies,
like
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I think they're solid movies. Like I've never really had a bad even like his crappy movie, like Lady in the Water, yeah. Like,
movie
but I
sucks.
didn't hate it. But I don't know. Like
Let's
just,
talk about his good movies that you like the horror movies that are good.
So actually, most recently, that Knock at the Cabin one, that movie was
I still haven't
awesome.
seen that.
Really good.
Oh, it was great. But yeah, we watched it. It was great.
I think it was a return to form for him.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he didn't write that movie. It was written by Paul Tremblay, another masshole, by the way, who teaches at Quill Cassidy. He's a pretty prolific horror writer right now.
Paul Tremblay.
Quill Cassidy closed?
Close, yeah.
All right, so he must teach at another school now, but I think he did teach there. I don't know. He's
Whatever.
a
Or
math
he's a famous
teacher.
author now.
He's a famous author, but he still
Yes.
does teach. I actually listened to him on a podcast
Ah.
with Mick Garris right around when Knock at the Cabin came out, and he said that he has kept his teaching job because he wants to make sure that this horror author career continues to work out for him, which I think it probably will.
Well, he
So-
gets a
Yeah.
pension if he keeps his job, so
correct.
it's a smart move. to do.
Correct.
Beyond that,
Yeah, Knock at the Cabin was good.
Knock at the Cabin, Signs, Sixth Sense,
Sixth Sense, The
Uh,
Visit, The
Unbreakable.
Village.
Unbreakable's his best movie, I think.
I'll say.
I'm not as much
She's
of a
all of that.
fan
I
of-
love that movie.
What? She's all that?
That's what it says under here.
He didn't direct She's All
Yeah.
That.
Oh no, why is it under there then?
I don't know.
Why don't you go to the Wikipedia page?
Yeah, go to
It's
Wikipedia.
I just said M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Signs-
Is he in She's All
I doubt it highly.
That? That'd be funny.
Signs is a great movie.
phenomenal.
I
Visit,
love
The
Signs.
Village. Split is creepy.
Split was pretty good.
I liked Split. I
Yeah. You
even
see
liked
Glass
Glass. That
and
movie was
Unbreakable?
terrible, but I liked that movie. Unbreakable, did I see Unbreakable? That's my favorite.
What's old? I didn't.
Old, I heard was
That came
trash. I
out
didn't see that.
recently.
That's probably with like The Happening, like terrible.
Yeah, happenings. Yeah.
I would watch
That's
it.
what happens when you put
Remember?
Mark Wahlberg in a movie.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, The Happening. Dude, well,
It's a
not only
fucking
Mark
turd.
Wahlberg, but you want the top billing of your movie.
Zoe
is
Deschanel.
Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel.
Ugh.
Get the fuck out of my
Go
face
away.
with that
Yeah.
shit. See you later. For a
Cast
movie about
fail.
killer plants.
Yeah.
Loser. The Visit, though, that's a pretty good movie.
That
That
was
flies under the
good, yeah.
radar. I know you mentioned that briefly, but
Yeah.
that's, say what you will if you're a fan of found footage horror, it's definitely something you should check out. If you haven't seen it. Also, Devil, I don't know if he was the producer on that
I
movie.
kind of like that.
The
movie.
elevator one?
The
Yeah.
elevator one,
That was
yeah.
nice.
That's
He
a
might have
pretty good
directed that one,
That
but
was on
I'm
there,
not sure.
too.
He was at least a producer on that.
Had like the mom from King of Queens or whatever the fuck she was.
Yeah,
No.
dude, there's some random
Super
people in that.
random.
John Eric Dowdle.
So he might have written the
Directed
story
it.
or he produced it, something like that.
He
But
was involved.
he was tied into that. Yeah.
His daughter's got a big movie coming out.
M. Night Shyamalan's
Yeah,
or Nepo Babies. Good lord.
like end of this year, I think. I
Oh,
think it
actually,
is.
that guy. So the one that actually directed. What did we just look at?
Devil.
Devil. Yes, he also directed As Above, So Below.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie. Very good movie.
Does he have a third in there? Because
I know, right?
the
I'm like,
like
I
a
don't
B
know
level,
these
B, C
other.
level.
I don't know these other ones.
You have to go to his
Dark Middle.
actual page.
No Escape.
Quarantine
The
is
Gibson-
pretty popular horror.
the
But did he
Gibson
direct
tapes?
it?
Poughkeepsie tapes.
I don't know.
Don't trust Google because they
Yeah,
just
you
told you
just have
that
to
M.
go
Night
look it
Shyamalan directed She's All That.
yeah.
Which clearly is not the case. So use Wikipedia, obviously a very trusted source.
Okay.
LOL.
IMDb is the go.
IMDb is the one. Yeah.
IMDb.
But for just filmography, I like Wikipedia
Yeah.
because it's all in order. Very
Yeah, he
quick and
directed
concise.
As Above, So Below.
Yep.
He did that too.
What else? Anything else?
Devil.
Yep. One more.
Um,
Give me one more.
I don't know. No Escape. Quarantine. The Poughkeepsie
Quarantine,
Tapes.
yeah.
Quarantine.
Quarantine.
Poughkeepsie tapes.
And
That's another
Poughkeepsie
one,
tapes, yeah, those are both
Yeah.
horror movies, so he could potentially be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that As Above.
He's
So Below.
eligible.
Yeah, as above, so below is a solid movie.
Big found footage guy.
Oh, show. All right. So that means we done drafting. So
That's
we
it.
want to
Be
hit some
done.
some honorable mentions here, and
I
then
have
we
only
can
one.
we
That's
can each refresh everyone's memory on who we picked and sign the fuck off.
Do I
know
get
who
do I
I
get to do my
picked.
honorable mention first?
Sure,
Since
who's your
we're
honorable mention?
snack
Yeah.
draft.
Were you gonna talk about Tim Burton here since you completely you slipped your mind?
Kind of. 'cause
He's
I-
worth mentioning. I mean,
I
it's not an outrageous pick.
I love Tim Burton. I love all of his movies, horror and not horror. My favorite movie is a Tim Burton movie, Big Fish. That's my favorite movie, which isn't even a horror movie, but
Beetlejuice,
Boo.
Sleepy Hollow,
Yes.
Sweeney Todd.
and even like the Alice in Wonderland reboots that are like darker versions of like,
Everything
I love
that he
the
does
stuff that he does. It's great.
Is like
His
kind
style,
of
it's
at the
awesome.
very least horror adjacent.
Yeah.
if not like has its roots in horror for
James
sure.
and the Giant Peach.
I mean,
It's scary.
yeah, the scary
He is the
parts.
Hansel and Gretel movie that I watched. He did that. That was kind of creepy.
Tim Burton did not do that movie.
Didn't he do
This
that?
is the, you want to Google again?
Yeah.
That was not directed by Tim Burton.
Was
No way.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunters?
He did not direct that movie
Well, why
either.
are these popping up?
Because
then?
I don't know why, but he didn't direct any of those.
Well, that's weird.
Burton also directing the long anticipated sequel to Beetlejuice. It's going to be coming out, I believe, next year.
Batman?
Batman is obviously not a horror movie, but has some scary stuff. That's obviously one of his biggest movies.
I'm back on the Google. It could be wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. But yeah, Tim Burton, I believe, absolutely should be in the conversation.
Yeah, he is. I love his style. I think it's interesting. It's unique. It has his kind of own flair to it, which I appreciate.
Yeah, even some of his actually some of his animated stuff, I feel like you have to talk about.
Oh yeah, like
Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse
yeah.
Bride, Frankenweenie.
Frankenweenie.
Those are all movies that are like, kids
They're awesome.
kids horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Which I think, hey, there's something to be said for that, because you got to start your love for horror at an early age if you become a
Right.
horror fan.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton. Anybody
so
else?
Tim Burton's my honorable mention.
Anybody else that you wanted to mention? No.
Ari Aster on there too.
Yeah, I'm sure he was going to probably
But
come up with
I
Matt.
didn't think he directed that much so
He's only got 3
far.
movies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was like,
Midsommar, Hereditary, and
Beau was
and
a
was afraid.
yes.
I mean,
So
I
he
haven't seen
literally
Beau was
has-
Afraid, but
I
he's
haven't either.
still got 2 bangers.
That's
so
what I
yeah.
mean. That's why I was thinking.
And Beau was
he would
Afraid, is
be-
that
And his
really a
short
horror
films
movie?
are fucking
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. So I was he's actually on my list. I did notes with him too, but at the same time, I was like, he doesn't have enough that I could pick him, right?
You could
That
have.
was- I
I
thought
wouldn't have. I wouldn't
What
have.
the rules were.
I wouldn't have given you a hard time if you picked him.
Okay.
But you didn't.
I didn't know.
Yeah, see, I think Aster I probably have in the same category as somebody like Robert Eggers. Like, he just hasn't done enough yet. Like The Witch obviously is a great movie. I loved The Lighthouse.
But he's missing one.
I don't
Yeah,
really
he's
find
only
The
got 2.
Lighthouse or The
Yeah.
Northman to be horror movies.
Yeah, I see Lighthouse obviously up for debate. I love that movie, but he's got that Nosferatu remake coming out that I cannot fucking wait to see. Andrew, did you have anybody that was close to making your squad but ultimately
So-
didn't make the cut?
Clive Barker didn't make the cut because he really hasn't directed too many fantastic ones. He's written a lot of shit. So he directed Hellraiser, obviously, fucking banger, wrote it too. Nightbreed, awesome. Lord of Illusions, love that movie too. So those are his 3. After that, he's written a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Rawhead Rex, I like that
Candyman.
movie. Candyman.
Midnight Meat Train.
Well, he wrote the Midnight Meat Train's great, but like he didn't actually even write the screenplay for those.
Right.
So like he wrote the stories, which I mean that's cool with me. Like anything from Books of Blood, like yeah, it's all based on his stuff. So he's only directed. I mean, Lord of Illusions is good though. I like that. The other guy I had because Clive Barker's obviously should be in there, but that's like putting Stephen King in there, but he hasn't directed shit.
I mean, Maximum Overdrive. Yeah.
So no, that's a loss. Darren Aronofsky was the other guy. Mother, Requiem for a Dream, Pie,
Black
Mhm.
Swan.
Black Swan.
Oh yeah, he was on my
A lot of those are horror adjacent, so that's
Yeah, yeah.
tough too. Like I can't pick that guy. Like that's and Mother's the only like real horror. Black Swan.
Requiem for a
maybe.
Dream.
Requiem for a
I
Dream
consider
is
a horror
pretty
movie.
absolutely
fucking
horror
horrifying.
movie, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely all fucked up movies for sure.
Yeah,
feel like
so I
every
guess
single-
he could. I
every
guess you
single
could
one of
throw
his
him in
movies
there. I
is
guess he
fucked
can
up.
count.
Yeah. That he was one. He was. On
I wouldn't have hated on that if you picked it, to be honest.
Okay.
So
That's it.
okay.
I wasn't sure. You weren't very clear about the rules.
No,
of
but the
draft.
rules are your own rules. You make up your own rules.
Listen,
You know, that's what we all did.
unless I give explicit rules that I think should be the case, I really don't really give a shit. You act like I'm some dictator here. Like, nope, that's not.
But we
gonna
never
happen.
said that they had to direct 3 movies.
You.
I
there
just
was
said- I
definitely
just
mentioned.
I personally also.
I just
did that
went
as a
with
rule
that.
of
It's,
thumb.
I was like, it's
Yeah.
got to be more than.
We never said that.
Well, I
saying,
just saw a 3-round draft.
Someone
I was like
said
3
that.
movies.
Yeah.
So
if you
So-
listen back to what I said at the beginning, I said when I was personally considering my list, that's how I was looking at it. But we didn't state that, and I wouldn't have ever busted
I feel like that
anyone's
was
was
balls.
common
texted.
sense.
That's what I said. I
was
feel like
in
what I was
writing
saying was
somewhere.
common sense.
I might have said like a top 3 or something.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention real quick. Another guy that I was close to picking instead I went with David Bruckner was Adam Wingard, who directed. He's another modern guy that also has his roots in the VHS franchise, but he also has done You're Next, which is a great slasher movie, very very good. The Guest, which is a phenomenal movie
Oh, I think.
with Dan Stevens and Micah Monroe in one of her first roles. He did the criminally underrated Blair Witch sequel that came out in 2016, which I really like. He also did most recently Godzilla vs. Kong, and directed most of the first season of another underrated show that was on Cinemax called Outcast, which was a show about an exorcist written by the guy who created the Walking Dead comic books. So yeah, Adam Wingard, another name that should certainly be on your radar. And obviously, I feel like Matt would bring up this name if I didn't. But Ty West, I feel like, is another young guy that is, just a deep, deep filmography already. House of the Devil, The Innkeepers, The Sacrament, which I think is my personal favorite of his movies. I love The Sacrament. Then you got X, you got Pearl, and the forthcoming Maxine with Triple X, which I'm very excited to see.
Yeah,
that
I'm
movie.
stoked.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. That looks really good.
Yep.
I can't wait to see that as well.
Good.
I can't wait to see that fucking movie.
I'm reading off my notes. All right, Matthew, anyone that we missed here, my friend?
I have just a lot of deep cut stuff. I got Mario Bava. He did Black Sunday, Black Sabbath, A Bay of Blood. I'm going to go another one with Roman Polanski with Repulsion, Rosemary's Baby, and The Tenant.
Yep.
Also, don't forget about the Johnny Depp one that Polanski did. From
Hell?
No.
Or no, The Ninth Gate.
Oh, Ninth
Yeah.
Gate.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that was a Polanski movie.
Takashi
Miike.
how do you say it?
Miike.
Miike? Okay. Audition, Ichi the Killer, and the original One Missed Call. Tom Holland, who did Fright Night, Child's Play, and Thinner.
Good one.
Lucio Fulci with Zombie, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, and The House by the Cemetery. And I'll even throw in a nutty one with Frank Henenlotter with Basket Case, Brain Damage, and Frankenhooker.
Nice.
Wow.
Brain Damage, phenomenal.
Yeah. Basket Case is fucking wild.
Those are very weird movies. I think Edgar Wright should get thrown into this too, and I don't know if it counts because I view Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and Last Night I Saw is all
They're violent.
horror adjacent.
Yeah.
Like they're most comedy horror, but
The World's End, too.
World's End,
Yeah.
that's another horror adjacent movie.
Yeah. Right, Edgar Wright for sure. Last Night in Soho was a great movie. I really like that movie a lot. I know we've talked about that extensively. But yeah, Edgar Wright's another one. There's probably many more that we have missed. But if there's anything that we did miss, hit us up on social media. Let us know that we're idiots and we missed somebody important. And, let us know what you thought about the episode. All right, cool. No more honorable mentions then?
No.
All right, let's run through our squads. Kat, who did you draft with your 4 picks? I know it's a tough
Jordan
assignment.
Peele.
Correct.
Wes Craven.
Yep.
Guillermo Birmo.
Del Toro.
And M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Yes.
Solid
with,
squad, Kat.
yeah.
Solid squad, I will
think
say.
so.
Yep.
I don't hate it.
No, not
Yeah.
too bad. So I had John Carpenter, Mike Flanagan, Joe Dante, and David Bruckner. Matthew, who was your team?
Toby Hooper, George A. Romero, Dario Argento, and Stuart Gordon.
That's a solid squad of
pretty fucking
classic 80s
bomb.
horror
That's
directors
pretty good.
right there. Yeah,
Hard to beat that.
gotta say. All right, Andrew, round it out. Who'd you draft?
I got Cronenberg, Juan, Coscarelli, and then with my last pick, I took fucking the fuck did I take? I can't remember.
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a pretty good squad too.
Pretty good
I had
squad.
it fucking lined up in my head, and I was like, and I forgot.
Good drafting all around, folks. Good picks. Good
teams.
teams. Well, whoever won the draft, be sure to let us know. Like I said, on social media, hit us up, send us an email. Let us know if there's anybody that we should have talked about that we did not consider. And check back in with us next week for another episode on a topic that we've yet to decide, but we'll get there, just like each and every week.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you like the show, as a reminder, please like, subscribe, and review the show, as it does help us out. Give us a review if you feel worthy of doing so, preferably a 5-star review. And you can find us wherever you're listening right now next week, but also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and wherever else you may get your podcasts. My name is Mike. I've been your host, and I've been joined by my fellow esteemed co-hosts, Andrew, Kat, and Matthew. Lady, gentlemen, say goodbye to your listeners.
Goodbye.
Adios, muchachos.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Adios and good evening. Goodbye. Later. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and I want to say thanks again for listening to another episode of our show. If you're interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I'd highly recommend you check out the shows from our friends over on the Inebriart Podcast Network. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find shows from Inebriart, the Old Colony Cast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, and Retro Redoctopus, so head on over and give them a listen.